Okay. All right. We are live, everybody. I'm live with Travis Brown of Dog Walk Rehab. So welcome, Travis. Really appreciate you joining. And you
Thanks for
have
having me.
Millie and Prince behind you, right?
Millie and Prince.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
And I have little gray goose. Where's she at? There she is.
Nice.
Excellent. So
Nice.
yeah, during the or in the post that I had made, I was telling people that you were just on Miracle Canine's podcast for anybody who hasn't seen it yet. So um, I'd assume that people watching this probably haven't seen it. So if you just want to give, a brief history, Travis, of what you do, and let everybody know where they can find you, and then we go from there.
All right. Well, thanks for having me. Uh,
You're welcome.
you can find me at. You can find the YouTube. Obviously, it's easy to find my YouTube, Dog Walk Rehab YouTube, Dog
Hmm.
Walk Rehab Instagram, Instagram Houston Shelter Dogs, and my website dogwalkrehab.com. And so I specialize in mostly difficult last chance dogs who need a little special consideration. Mostly out of the thousands of dogs, probably 99% rescue shelter dogs. So I almost exclusively do shelter rescues. So I've been doing this for probably 20 years working with dogs, but probably mostly deep into it starting at around 2017 when Hurricane Harvey hit Houston and things just got real serious real fast. So
Right.
I was in the dog world from 2005, but not not fully into it till 2017. So Hurricane Harvey kind of really made it more official. Yeah.
Yeah, that was an interesting story. You were telling on the when you were talking to David, and I guess I wasn't. We've been talking for a little while, and I was not aware that that's kind of how you got started. Was you just Hurricane Harvey hit, and because for those of you that don't know, Travis is it's Houston, right? You're in Houston,
Houston, yeah.
Houston area, yeah.
Yep.
So Hurricane Harvey hit, and one thing leads to another, and you're just in this situation where now you've got to, you're like, they just hand
Thrown
you a bunch of
into
leashes. Yeah, you're thrown into it,
thrown into as neck deep as you can. In my opinion, it's about as neck deep as you can get. It
Yeah.
was a fast paced shelter, so there was always a lot of activity going on, and we didn't know what we were doing. In fact, it was Houston Pets Alive, and at that time, Houston Pets Alive was only a foster based rescue starting in 2014. So by the time 2017 hit, we Houston Pets Alive was not uh, an established rescue. So Austin Pets Alive had to come down here from Austin and send a few people to show us how to do it. So they kind of steered us in the beginning, and then they pulled out around March of 2018, and then we placed all the Harvey dogs. Finally, we ended up placing the last one around March of 2018 back into their home or reunited or in a new home. Um, then we started. Then we decided, well, we have this facility which was only a gutted out grocery store, Sellers Brothers grocery store. We had the facility, so we just figured, well, uh, we either shut it all down or keep it going. So then we started pulling from Bark's euthanasia list the bottom 20%, which are short hair, blocky head dogs with behavioral issues, bite cases, or various different things. But so we started dealing with those dogs, and then it kind of got a lot more serious because we still didn't really know what we were doing, and we established a behavior team around March of 2018, which I wasn't selected for, but politics, internal politics.
Right. Yeah.
So, and then it just kind of, I was there till maybe mid 2018, 2019, and then it just kind of, I just kind of went a different way from there, but stayed the course. And
Yeah.
Back then I was only a handler. I was not into training or behavior modification. I wanted to do it, but I wasn't skilled enough at that point. So like the dog Oso, the
Yeah.
Anatolian German Shepherd that I have on my YouTube, I didn't know what to do with him. He put two people in the ER, and he was very serious. And
Wow.
I didn't know what to do with him. I was that was right before I met or heard about Brandon Fouché. So the lady
Yeah.
I took him to told me about him, and it's been history ever since. So
Right. So were a lot of the dogs that ended up there, um, obviously I'm sure a lot of them had previous owners, but maybe the owners for one reason or another couldn't they didn't know where the dog was, or maybe they unfortunately passed away because of the hurricane, or so were you able to find the original owners for a lot of those dogs, or was it just kind of
a lot of them probably, but at that point I was too much of a pawn in the game to even have inside access to what happened with those dogs.
yeah.
Just one day they were here, one day they weren't, and so fundamentally they just either got rehomed or uh, sent back to their original home. So I don't know percentage wise like which percent made it back and which of them just found another home, but a lot of them probably reunited.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is so crazy. Now, how many of those dogs had like serious? Because I know you had said that there was a section of that modified grocery store where they put like the serious dogs, the dogs with behavioral issues in a certain
Right.
spot. And so, how many of those were you handling at that time? Like that you had to directly engage with?
Well, when I first started 20 November of 2017, that was 2 months after Harvey. So at that point, all the dogs start on the adoption floor, and then if there is an incident on the adoption floor, then they get sent back to the beverage section of the grocery store, the
Yeah.
behavior section. So
Mhm.
there were probably 30 dogs back there,
Wow.
just in
Okay.
that section, who either mostly dog aggressive or so. For example, there's a dog named Miklo, a pit bull. We didn't euthanize dogs back then with this shelter. It was very rare. Well, he mauled a staff member
Oh
pretty
no
badly.
shit.
She was littler on the heavier side, so she got she made it out okay. But Miklo started on the adoption floor, and he nipped a volunteer in the butt. So the volunteer went in to be cuddly with him, and then when he was going to leave, Miklo bit him in the butt. It was very
Wow.
half-assed, but he ended
Yeah.
up in the back. But then there was
Okay.
no behavior protocols in place back there, so he just went
Right.
stir crazy. You know, you see these dogs; they're like coiled springs. They just get
Yeah.
tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. Well, this day, this little small girl was supposed to take him out for a crate and rotate, and she was probably 100 pounds. And Miklo's protocol was keep a drag line on him because you just open the gate and take it and go. Don't fumble around trying to fix the collar and look and clip it on because he will bite you.
Hmm.
So this day he made a mess in his kennel and he had the leash dragging all in it. So this girl didn't want to do it. So somebody from the adoption team came back to handle Miklo, but she didn't know the protocol. So she tried to change out the collar in his crate, and he
So
mauled her.
they didn't tell her that it was
She should have known.
okay.
She should have known better, but
Okay.
neither one of them had any business being back there. But these are the this is why, because I did the 2 o'clock p.m. to 10 p.m. shift, and we always had a crossover meeting between AM and PM so we can discuss notes, who's doing
Yeah.
what behaviors have changed. So we have inside information to who what to do this day versus yesterday. And this happened
Okay.
before my 2 o'clock shift. So yeah, she should have known, but it was real sloppy like that. And this is what happens. He hit her about 5 to 10 times. Arms, legs, stomach, everything.
Ooh.
And strangely, it only took the vet techs to come running over there, and they smashed two tin bowls together, and he stopped immediately. So that's all it took to snap him out of it. But he was
Yeah.
euthanized. But
Wow.
there, that was
Wow.
common type of stuff back then.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. So actually, that's because that raises another good point. You had said they smashed two tin bowls together to get the dog
Sound.
to snap
Yeah.
out of it. Yeah. Yeah. Sound. So this was something that, like, during my Miracle Canine debate, that in looking through the comments, it seems that people don't quite understand what I'm getting at. And I know you do, but the usage of sound to me is you're you're incorporating it in your communication to create something that is strong and powerful. It sends a strong message to the dog. Like I said, it has a psychological effect on that dog. And I know that they would scientifically classify that as like punishment, but I just see it as to me it's just communication. You know, whether or not the dog interprets it as punishment, yeah, you might say that, but it's like I was trying to say, where if you come across very weak to the dog, then the
Mm-hmm.
dog is just not going to take you seriously. The dog's not going to care. So to me, it comes down to strength and weakness when you're even incorporating something like sound, and it could be the tone of your voice, it could be
Yeah.
using an object to make a sound, it could be, but it's coming directly, like, most of the time I want it to come directly from me. And
Right.
so I
You're the
think
tool.
that's, yeah, I'm the tool.
Yeah.
So to me, that's the distinction, is like, well, if, you know, the balance folks might say, well, it's just because the dog saw that sound as aversive. Yeah, I get that. I understand where, when you're speaking of the four quadrants, that's where they're coming from with it. But it also has to do with again your personality. It has to do with that's the strength from within
Strength of
you,
personality. Yeah.
strength of personality, right? So and if you're not coming across strong enough, then
You'll
the
have to
dog
do
just,
all these extra things to
yeah,
compensate for it. And that's
right,
when you have to bring out the tools and the treats and the obedience to
right.
compensate for the energy or the emotional um, influence
Right,
to bypass all of that. Because if you
right,
just make them feel that way, you don't have to do all that. They just
right.
kind of like, oh, you have my attention now. What did you want me to do? Oh, I'm happy to do it.
Hmm.
That's the difference between like compliance and acceptance. If you
Right.
resonate on a frequency, I call it mama dog frequency, where almost like they feel like, oh, you're like my mom because she did all these things to me. So you're resonating
Yeah.
on that frequency. So I'll follow you
Yeah.
just because that's just the way it is. But
Yeah. Yeah.
Brandon used to do this a lot. I didn't notice this on Brandon Fouché. For those who are listening, uh, he would narrate, but he would change the tone in his delivery talking to us. But he's doing it to manipulate the dogs. So if they're getting a little too rowdy, he'll up the bass in his voice maybe, or the intensity of it in his voice. It's very
Hmm.
subtle, but the dogs pick up on it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the that's something that like David had said, he struggles with being assertive. And so I have a lot of clients who are the same way, where it's just not really in their nature to be that way.
Yeah.
And Um, to me, it just kind of exemplifies the point further, where it's you like you said that, and I'm sure you've heard me say it, where the more you have to rely on tools or treats to get a job done with a dog, that you're compensating for your ability to influence. And so,
Absolutely.
if the communication can come directly from me, and I don't need any of that, then to me, that's, I mean, why would we want to add more things in between? I want to strip it all down and make it about just me and the dog.
Yeah.
And if we have to add things to get there, listen, I have no problem with a client, if we have to use a tool or something
Yeah.
to
Of
help
course.
them because they've never, it's more difficult for them to do that. Okay, so be it. But
Yeah.
for me, as somebody who's done this for so many years, I would, or I would have an expectation for any owner or any individual who does this professionally. If you work with serious dogs, aggressive dogs, then I think that is an aspect of your personality you should seek to cultivate because
Oh yeah,
it's very much tied to the nature of this animal. And so,
it's their language. You
yeah,
either
it's their
speak in their
language.
language or
Right.
you're not speaking their language. And
Right.
tool prong and shot collars aren't their language. We can use
Right.
them, but that's not their language.
No. No, it's not native to um any animal, really. I mean, these are human inventions that we, like I said, we it's just to compensate for our lack of the ability to do it. And if I understand that dogs are creatures of hierarchy and they're going to follow the strongest personality,
Mhm.
then I'm going to use that principle to my advantage, and I'm going to develop different attributes within myself to become that strongest personality they want to follow. And so then it just makes having to use things like e-collars or whatever, you just don't need it, you know? Because I know Brandon, he talks about how that's where he started. Like he
That's where it
started with,
started. Yeah,
yeah, he started with all that same shit, and then he got away from it because
yeah.
he,
It's not till you take the prong collar off, the shot collar off, that you feel out till you find out what real power really is.
right,
And you won't know until you're able to influence genetics and instincts without it.
right,
But
and
when
that's
you do,
why.
you'll know.
Oh yeah, you absolutely know. There's something really special about, because to me, and I've said this so many times, where you don't know if a dog truly wants to follow you until you take all the tools off. And then, if I have a naked dog, say, no, I don't even have a collar on the neck, nothing. Well, how do I know I've actually influenced that dog in the right way until I take everything off and see, will this dog actually follow in the way that I need it to? And not, I see a lot of videos where people have their dog off leash, but they're still like micromanaging the dog. They're like bombarding it with commands. And I shouldn't need to do any of that. My dog should just understand what the expectation is, and the dog should just follow me. I shouldn't have to um, rely on commands or rely on obedience or any of that to just take my dog for a walk. And there's a particular dynamic that's established that, to me, that really reveals the truth. If you can take it all off and you can walk your dog down a busy downtown area where there's other dogs, people, cars, and that dog is just focused on you and not engaging with the environment in ways that you don't permit, and the dog is willingly doing that, well, to me, that says everything about the nature of the relationship I've cultivated.
Right, and it's not
Yeah.
technically proved to me until
Right, right.
until you get to that point. Until then,
Yeah,
the tools are doing it for you.
yeah,
It's not an emotional connection. It's not a meeting of the minds. It's coercion in a lot of ways. And what will you give me to do it, or what? Well, not what happens if I don't, because I'm all for that. But
hmm,
what are you going to pay me to do it? And
right,
a
right.
lot of people are stuck in that trap,
Yeah,
because I hear this a lot with these balanced trainers. Always reward a dog.
yeah. You
Well,
got to pay him. It's like, well,
well, who's
I
going
don't
to do
understand.
that? Like, really,
Yeah,
that's not realistic to me. And there's a
no,
lot of, we can get into what about the balanced approach is not realistic, but that's one of them. Who's going to walk around with hot dogs in their pocket for the rest of the dog's life and pay them every time they do something? We don't do that with kids, and we shouldn't do that with kids. It's for the same reason with dogs. We
right,
shouldn't. We should not be doing that, because it
no,
becomes very transactional based. I
hmm,
explain it like a family business. It's different than Walmart. It's you're not an expendable employee. You're part of the family. But I'm not going to pay you to run across town to deliver a package every
right,
time you do something. You get paid every week. You
yep,
get pizza on Fridays. You get donuts in the morning. You know, but none of that's guaranteed. And a, a strong business wouldn't have employees that required you to pay them for everything. There has to be an incentive, but you know, you won't know if if they're doing it willingly or not
Right.
until you take that stuff away. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, and that's the because I still think, and maybe I could have argued it better, but say during the debate I had with David, that was something that I was trying to get across is, the roads that say learning theory sends people down, it all comes down to how people think. And so if I approach it as this learning based exercise where I'm trying to, if I have an aggressive dog, and I'm thinking, okay, I just need to teach the dog or condition the dog, or you know, reward the dog here, punish the dog here. Well, that's going to influence how I think through that whole process. Rather than if I understand that this comes down to how Mother Nature created it, well, now I need to that puts the onus on me to look at who I am. How am I being when I show up to this situation? And how does this dog see me? And how do I build respect with this dog through the way that there's who I am showing up. It's like Caesar, Caesar talks a lot about energy and
you can see it when he's
people.
showing up to a house.
Yeah,
When
yeah,
he's walking up to the front door, you can see the intention there, and that
yeah,
is the first impression that the dog is noticing. That energy that he's coming in
yeah.
there with. It's very. You can almost. You don't have to do much if you carry yourself the right way. They pick up on it right away. Oh, authority
Hmm.
figure. I already know
Right.
what to do because you're already reminding me of my mom.
Yeah, you're giving off, and I've had so many people where I show up to their house and they say, "Oh, my dog normally acts crazy when people
Exactly.
walk in," and I always say, "Well, I'm not when I show up, I'm not doing what the average guest does, where I'm not excited." Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I'm not excited and baby talking and uh forcing myself onto the dog. I'm just showing up. I'm very calm, I'm stable, but I'm not paying any attention to the dog. I'm not introducing all of this instability. The dog, they're always reading you. And so
Always.
they're always reading you. Yeah.
That's what people fail to realize. You're training your dog all day, every day. You don't even realize it because they're studying us more than we're studying them, especially
Yeah.
the more insecure ones. But like to your point, when I show up to a house, I always say first, don't be offended, but I'm going to ignore your dog for a little bit. And they say that all the time. Either my dog is barking aggressively, but they're not with you, or they're usually jumping
Right.
up on people, but they're not with you, or they're hiding in the
Right.
other room, but they're sitting right under your feet.
Yep.
And that's all energy. You don't even have to do anything.
No.
It's the energy, and
Yeah.
it's a hard thing to explain.
It is. It is.
But
Um
energy is
oh,
more than energy. It's energy body language. Your body language is a reflection of your energy. So it
yeah.
comes out through the body language, and yes, they're sensing your energy, but they're reading the body language that is a symptom of the energy.
Yeah, I know. And I know exactly what you're saying when you say that. But yeah, it can be hard to convey it to a person to get them to understand what you mean. Now, so there are a couple people saying that we got an echo. Travis, do you have any earbuds or anything that you could
Oh,
no?
oh,
Okay.
that I can use.
Yeah, just to get rid of that echo.
I can try these headphones and see.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, because it just sounds like
How's that?
I'm coming through your speaker, and then it's okay. I think
Better?
we're good there. Yeah, I don't
How's
hear it
that, y'all?
anymore. You guys hear anything? Roman,
Princess. How's that,
Roman.
princess?
Yeah, Shelly, thank you for joining. Roman, appreciate it. Um, Ashutosh, thank you all for joining. Um,
That's Goose.
right, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's Goose snoring, but it gets that's something that gets dismissed a lot as sort of like David did, where it's like he brushed it off as like this woo woo stuff or whatever, or it's too nebulous or abstract. And I don't think it is personally. I really don't think energy is this. incomprehensible thing because w- we every second of every day we are embodying some kind of energy, whether we know it or not. And so it's like, well, like I like the for me, I love the handshake example where because I'm saying if I introduce myself to somebody and the energy that I'm embodying is very confident, strong, assertive, but not being like a like he said, like an alpha bro, like a dick. I'm not being
Yeah, confidence
bombastic or too
versus
much.
arrogance.
Yeah, I'm just, but I'm also very stable. Then that is a particular energy versus if I come across very insecure, very unconfident, very anxious, nervous, that's a different energy in and of itself. So these are things that we can describe and I can show you, pictures of people who and people know like, oh yeah, that looks like a pretty confident guy, or
Yeah.
that guy looks like he's nervous, or that guy looks like so we understand these things innately, I think, but for some reason I don't know why it's hard for people to understand how this applies to the communication or the relationships we build with our dog, because it all
Well,
goes hand in hand.
I think the confusion is dogs don't necessarily look at us and say, you know how Caesar says, you are your energy, you're not your name, you are who your energy is. I'm not
Right.
sure dogs look at you and say, you're this energy right now. It's possible they can see an aura or something. I don't know. But I think it's more for the human to be aware of this is my energy right now. And this is
Mm-hmm.
how it affects my body language. And the dog is picking up on that versus it being, I just stand still and close my eyes and the dog can just telepathically
Right.
understand what I feel.
Right.
I think it has more to do with the body language and to your point,
Yeah.
hesitation in the vibration. If you're
Yes.
anxious, nervous, tense, fearful, you will have hesitation in your vibration.
Absolutely.
If you don't have any hesitation, they pick up on it immediately,
Mm-hmm.
and you are a source to follow. Because most
Yep.
dogs are insecure. Most dogs I meet are insecure one
I
way
mean,
or
yeah,
another,
I meet a lot of insecure dogs. Yeah,
and they're in
definitely.
captivity. They're in a captive situation. So if you can make them feel uh, like they're safe and you're in charge and they don't have to take that position, that's all
Right.
you really need to do for most dogs. But it is the energy. When I used to work at the shelter, I would get there at 2, but at 12 I would start getting my mind ready, listening to certain music, maybe podcasts, maybe silence, eating my vegetables, my fruits, and getting ready to get there at 2. And then when I got
Yeah.
there, I was very mindful. The second I got out of the car and I walked in there, I know they're watching me immediately the second I walk in. So the
Absolutely.
energy, the movement, the space, the way I touch,
Mm-hmm.
uh, is all communication, but that's based on how I feel. So if I'm
Right.
calm and confident, it will come across one way. If I'm anxious, nervous, fearful, tense,
Yep.
angry, frustrated, it will come across a different way. And that's as
Definitely.
simple as the conversation gets with dogs. They don't
Mm-hmm.
rationalize, they don't care about who you who you are, how you feel. If you had a bad day, you either are or you're not right now.
Right. Right.
But that's the beauty of them because you can change them so fast. Because if tomorrow you are embodying this energy,
Yep.
they will change.
Yeah, because dogs know. You know, this is something I try to convey to all my clients is the seriousness of what you say. Like I want my dog. This is why I say you need to be firm but calm. Like we don't want to be angry or frustrated or introduce emotion because that's
And
not
that's
what
hard to
stability.
do.
Yeah, it
That's
can be.
hard to
Yeah,
do.
it can be,
Yeah.
especially when you're already kind of at your wits' end with a certain problem, and
Mhm.
now I'm trying to convey that. Okay, well, I understand why you're frustrated, but do your best to just not. If you feel yourself getting frustrated, maybe walk away for 5 minutes, kind of cool
You see
yourself
Caesar
down.
do that. Caesar will
Yeah,
step back and check his energy and then try again.
yeah,
Or check
yeah,
it
because he
before he even
knows.
interacts. Yeah, because if you do it
Yeah.
when you're frustrated, and I've done this before, if you're
Yep.
frustrated and you correct, it'll backfire on you.
Oh,
Or it
absolutely.
might it might work, but you've lost points, and now you have to build those points back up.
Right. Yeah, because I find too, like when you get this is a difficult concept for people to understand, but I when I tell people that there are certain problems where we need to engage in conflict with the dog. Like I have to engage in a power struggle, but if I do that incorrectly, it's going to cause the dog to escalate to levels where now it's just the dog's just kind of at war with me rather than me understanding how do I engage that way with the dog, but also diffuse the situation and lessen the tension that's involved. So, if I have a dog who's very strong-headed and is persistent, and I reach a point where now I'm getting frustrated with a dog, it's going to cause me to be very tense and be a little too heavy-handed, and that's just going to cause the dog to get frustrated back at me, and it's not going to listen. But if I, it's like I was showing with Clark or Rocky the dachshund, where if the dog is attacking me and I just stand my ground and I don't yell at him or get mad or push back in that way, but I just stand my ground, show strength, but I'm also very calm. Eventually the dog it's gonna pick up on that and the dog will stop because the dog's like not getting a reaction out of you. The dog's not, making you run away, but also you're not taking that information and now like I said, getting mad at the dog or trying to do things that would cause that dog to just enter the fight or flight mode, where now you're just not getting anywhere because the dog's mind is just somewhere else.
Yeah, that's the blind leading the blind at that point.
Right, right, right. Yeah.
So which boils down to energy. At the end of the
Yep.
day, it's the energy philosophy strategy. So in the
Hmm.
words of Brandon, energy is more how to be is more important than what to do.
Right.
Far more important than what to do because you can do it all day, but if your energy is
Yeah.
not right, mm, it may give you the illusion that it's working, but
Yeah.
it's not addressing the limbic system, the emotional center of the brain.
Right.
Uh, and there's only really one way to do it. That's why his phrase hormone manipulation therapy is that's I don't hear anybody else talk about that.
No,
But
he's the
that is
only
the
person.
limbic system is the center of the emotional center of the brain. Emotion is where it all begins.
Right.
And if you're not emotional in some kind of way, I don't mean crying or
Yeah.
but there's
Yeah.
an emotional energy that you feel invested with the dog. And they can feel that you're invested. You're not just
Yeah.
barking orders and but you're very invested in the moment. And they can pick up on that for sure.
Definitely. Definitely.
Like
And this
like
is why.
mama's not
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
good.
Go ahead,
Well,
Jordan.
mama dog is being is giving corrections aversive, but there's an energy behind that
Yeah.
the same way. So, like Caesar said, never go against Mother Nature. Just study nature, study how they do it, and try to mimic it as much as we
Right.
can. But that's the
And to
place to
me,
start.
yeah, to me that's because I've like Robert Hines, when I first started going back and forth with Robert Hines, he's like, "Well, who taught you? Who was your mentor? Who did you learn this from?" And I'm like, "Robert, I didn't have a mentor. I learned from most like Robert Brandon and Caesar were my two greatest influences, but I've learned from the dogs. The dogs have been
Yeah,
my
yeah,
greatest
exactly.
teachers. So the dogs have shown me what's the path forward. And
You can't argue
so
with dogs.
no,
You
no,
can't
and
argue with
so
that.
so you're by default you are working with mother nature, you're understanding how this thing works, and you're right, I don't want to fight against that, I want to work with it, you
Yeah,
know
it's the law. It's the law. Like Brandon
right,
says, it's
as
the
Brand
law.
said, it's the law.
You can try. You can wish it were something else, but it is what it is. You can either
Right.
play by the rules or you can try to outsmart. That's what the problem I have with modern training. They're trying to use human
Human
logic
psychology.
to try to
Right.
outsmart Mother Nature. That's foolish to me.
Yeah. I don't
That's
To me it
foolish.
doesn't I don't but that's the outcomes you get, and this is one thing I wish I would have emphasized more when I was talking to David, where how many people do you know have done modern training, they've gone, they've applied learning theory to problems, but they find themselves in situations where if you put the treats away, the dog don't listen. Dog's happy to listen for the treats, or if you put the e-collar on, you can get the dog to comply when the e-collar's on, but the
Comply. Yeah.
yeah, right, comply. But the minute you take it off, the dog knows and it goes right back to doing the same shit it did before. So you haven't really solved anything, because I don't this is why I said it doesn't go all the way. There's more to this cake than just reward and punishment, and
Right.
because I've had a lot of clients who that they found themselves in that same position where they've used these tools and all this stuff and they get what they want out of it, but they have to rely on it. And to me,
They're a
that's not a
slave to the
solution.
tool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
being a slave to the tool is not a appropriate outcome to me. That's
No.
not a trained
I
dog to me.
right.
I mean, these two right here, I can open the car right now and just leave the doors open. I can go walk down the street and I don't have to say anything to them. There are
Right.
no tools on them. No tools
Mhm.
were used for them, and these were behavior cases. These two
That's
were
awesome.
these two were serious behavior cases. But I don't think everyone should go for off leash. Personally, I think it's
Yeah,
good for
no,
the
I
dog,
I
but
agree. I agree. Yeah.
people push that way too much. Your dog is not fulfilled unless they have the off leash freedom. Well,
Right.
that's true. That'd be nice if every dog could achieve that, but many people have dogs they should not have off leash,
I agree.
and
Yeah,
they
and
got to figure out a
it's
different
not
way to do it.
right. And it's not I've only had a couple of clients even ask me how to do that, but for me, the majority of people, let's just teach them how do I build a particular relationship with my dog and just get it good on a leash. Like if you can take your dog for a walk and have the leash on and it is enjoyable and cooperative and not a headache, that's that's just as fulfilling as anything that taking your dog off leash. Well, and I see a lot of people with their dog off leash and the dog is like 500 yards away from them and not even, and I'm like, to
They're
me that's not I want
they're
my
rolling
dog
the dice. They're
yeah,
rolling the dice.
yeah,
They're not in control of the situation. They're just
no,
getting lucky that their dog
yeah,
isn't as prey driven as some dogs who shouldn't even be off leash. But
yeah,
yeah, it's a problem. But loose leash walking, there are a lot of balanced trainers who don't even like the concept. They let their dogs do whatever on the leash. I've heard this a
yeah,
lot from the working dog world. And what is the leading cause for people to reach out to trainers in the pet dog world? Walking,
walk,
pulling,
yeah,
and reactivity.
yep,
That's the leading cause for people to reach out for trainers.
yep,
And then other basic stuff. But I don't do any obedience with that. No treats and
I don't
no
either.
tools. I use a slip lead because you have to use something, and maybe compressed air. But it should be 99% non-physical, because if it's physical, it's just an illusion to me, because the
Yeah,
dog's not really doing it. You're
right.
doing all the work.
Hmm. And I don't like when it comes to the walking, like I just had a client, the Malinois that I just worked with. Um, I see this a lot too, where people will train their dog on a leash and they're constantly having to say heel or sit or stop or
Yeah,
to me that's
micromanaging.
yeah, I don't want to I don't say anything hardly when I'm out walking. I want the leash. I want to talk with the leash, and I don't want to have to keep repeating myself or commanding the dog to a heel or sit or to me it's all superfluous to me anyway. I don't even know why people really go down those roads. It's like that. You remember that Cali Canine video I sent you where he was with this client in the park and the woman just said, "Well, I just really want to walk my dog and drink my coffee and not have a problem." And he's
Oh,
over in the
Cali
park with
canine.
this
Right,
woman.
right, right, right.
Yeah,
Right.
he's over in the park with this woman like drilling into her that to get the dog to sit and down and oh the dog sat back up and sit it back down force it back down and I'm thinking what do we like what does any of this have to do
How did
with
we
walking.
and how did we get here?
Yeah, none of
Because
this
I mean,
has to do with walking well on a
I have
leash.
never taught a dog to sit. Never.
I never, yeah, I don't,
Only Prince,
yeah,
because when we're off leash, sometimes I want to show people that he is under control. If I ask him to sit down, ta-da,
yeah.
we did a stupid circus trick just to make you happy. But otherwise, I've
Right.
never taught down, sit, heel. Place has its benefits, but traditional obedience is Useless.
It
Because
is.
how many
It is
dogs,
useless.
they know all their tricks, but they bite people?
Right. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't mean anything
I
at
hear it
that
all the
point.
time. Right.
Yeah. And that's why I say, yeah, and that's what's pushed in the culture though, is if you want an obedient dog, oh, take them to all these obedience classes, go to the PetSmart
Yeah.
classes or the Petco classes or whatever, or but
That's
I
physical. It's not emotional. It's not an
yeah,
emotional intervention. Yeah.
right. And I even
It
asked
has to
them,
be. Yeah.
oh,
Go
no,
ahead. Go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, I
No,
was
it
just
has to be
saying
an
I asked
emotional
them. I'm
intervention.
sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
You go ahead.
Travis.
You
Go
got
ahead.
it. No, it has to be an emotional intervention, not a physical intervention. That's just an illusion. Physical is just
Yeah,
an illusion. But yeah, go ahead.
it is. It is. It gives you a false sense of security too,
A
and it's
false sense, exactly. That's why it's
yeah,
dangerous, because it gives people a false sense of, okay, now we're good. Now I can put them off leash. Now I can take them into
right,
public places. Well, no, you can't, because you haven't addressed the emotional. You've only addressed the physical,
right. You're
and
just
that's
putting a
not enough.
band-aid over, and it's I even ask my clients who have done all that. I always ask, well, did you find those classes helpful? And I haven't had a single person say that they think they got anything out of it because their dog still has problems at home.
Right.
And I remember I posted a video. So it was somebody tagged me in a video with this woman whose husky tried to attack her newborn that they just brought home. And I had given a bunch of advice and I had posted it in one of the Facebook groups I'm in, and the moderator, the woman who runs that group, actually commented on the video. And she was very nice, very respectful, but she had said, "You're giving a lot of good advice here, but the only what I would add is teach that dog a really good place command." And
Yes.
I said, yeah. So I replied and I said, yeah, I appreciate the compliment, thank you. The reason I don't say any of that or I promote that is because teaching the dog a good place command has nothing to do with how the dog sees the owners or sees that child.
It's
So
irrelevant.
yeah, it's irrelevant. So what are you going to do if that place command, all of a sudden the dog, there's something hormonally going on in that dog that's far more important than that place command, and it involves the child, or that child gets too close and the dog just ends up attacking that baby again. Well, you haven't, the place command didn't solve anything. It's
No, it's like the treats. You have to take them everywhere you go. You're going to take a place command everywhere you go.
right,
Like, every room has to have a place, or the dog doesn't know what to do. Well, no, if guests come over or the baby, give space. That's all I
right,
need you to do, is give space.
yep,
You can choose to go to a bed or your crate, but just give space. But this is what I mean by over micromanaging. That's
mm-hmm,
above and beyond what you really need to do. You just need to make them feel, I am, like Caesar says, pack leaders control excitement level and personal space. If you can
mm-hmm,
just control your personal space, I don't care if you go to place or not. It's like
right,
Brandon. I don't care if you're sit, standing, or lying down. Where are you mentally? And that's to
exactly,
your point. Where are you mentally? So yeah,
exactly. Yeah, the
that's where
state
it's
of the
at.
mind of the dog, and I want if that dog truly respects me and understands that this baby is mine, not yours.
Yeah.
It is not your place to do what you want with this baby,
It's
you know?
establishing the baby in a pecking order, the hierarchy.
Yeah, yeah,
We're ones, you're a two. And make sure you don't
exactly.
forget that. So we can all live peacefully together. But
Exactly.
it's ones and twos, and the place is trying to bypass establishing the ones and twos.
Right,
Dogs are
right.
twos, humans are ones. Not because we're better, but because there has to be a hierarchy.
Yeah,
There
absolutely.
has to be.
And it's when the dog believes it's one that we have issues like the dog is
Right.
biting people in the home, or the dog just
And
doesn't listen, or the dog, you
it's
know?
so true. And when Caesar goes to homes and you ever hear him say, I hate to break it to you, but the dogs are first, second, third. The husband maybe fourth, you're maybe fifth, and the kids are sixth, seventh, and eighth. Well, that's a
Yeah,
big problem.
yeah, that is a very big problem. And I teach my
Especially
clients
if, yeah,
that you want the kids to also be above the dog and the high.
they're
All the
ones
humans should
also,
be,
for
yeah,
sure.
doesn't matter how old that kid is. But
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Travis. You were about
No,
to say
you
something.
the one kids are ones. They have to be seen as ones.
Definitely.
And that new baby that comes in has to be made to feel like it's a one. Made
Right.
to feel like it's
Right.
a one.
The
and
dog
the
needs
dog to
should
feel like
understand.
there too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
You know that.
And how you go about doing that is the big controversy in the industry. Some would use
Right,
treats there. Some would
right.
use a place command. Some would use probably an e-collar, which I can't imagine why you would. There's only, to your point. That's mine. There's only one
Hmm.
person I know who talks like that. That's
Brandon.
mine.
It's Brandon. Yeah.
And you're either gonna claim it or they will.
Right. And
To
that's
certain
why,
dogs. To certain
yeah.
dogs, yeah.
And that's why, like, when I bring a dog here, whether I had just adopted it or whether it's coming to stay with me, James, who do you think? Of course, it's Goose snoozing. But the first thing I do is establish to that dog who controls all of this.
And
If
you
you're
do
a
it by not saying a word. You just come
right,
in, present yourself as authority figure, and you don't have to say,
yeah,
"I declare I'm your authority." It is
right,
automatic,
right. They
and
come in and
that's
it.
90. It's almost
No,
ninety
go
percent
ahead.
of the game. ninety
It
percent of the
really is.
game is already done at that point.
It really is because that dog
Yeah.
will know. All I have to do to another principle Brandon teaches that I love is you tell the dog what you don't like. So when the dog comes in here for the first time and it's investigating or trying to take something that I don't want it to have, I just tell that dog what I don't like, that's mine, and we have an understanding, and that's
And
it.
they don't take it personal.
No,
I've never seen a dog really take that personal. Oh, and
right.
get all bent out of shape about it. They respect the game because that's how their genetics are
That's how
wired.
they're built. That's how they're
That's
built.
how, yeah. And Caesar and Brandon talk about things that I don't hear anybody else talk about. But if you talk to them from their language first, establish the rules, boundaries, and limitations,
Yep.
everything is so easy from there.
Yes.
But yeah,
That's
I always use this analogy, like if a new dog were to enter a new pack or a horse enter into a herd, they would almost bully the new one because they don't want the new one to think
right.
they just come
Right.
in here and start regulating. There's a pecking order here. So
Yeah.
I don't say people need to bully the new dog, but they need to refrain from all the affection right out
Yes.
of the gate. Just stick to what
Yes.
you don't like. And you can show that you're safe to be around without all that affection. Just
Absolutely.
if you conduct yourself calmly, you're already communicating. You're someone safe to be around.
Yeah.
But people
Your
overdo it with all that
stability.
yeah, they
Yeah.
overdo it with
Yeah.
the affection.
Yeah.
And they
No, and
lose
it's
the window.
right. And to me, that should be the last thing you do or even think
Yeah.
about. You know,
Right, right.
if I'm building a relationship with a brand new dog, yeah, that's the last piece of that puzzle. I don't even because that's not what they're seeking from us anyway. That's not what they're looking for. They're looking for
No.
who are you and who where do I fit into this group? This new group I'm coming into. Who are
That
you
I'm in
and where do I fit
captivity
in?
in, that I can't leave. I can't leave
Right.
here. I'm in captivity. I have to know if I'm safe and who's in charge. Otherwise,
Right.
I'm going to go crazy. And this is
Right.
how dogs go crazy because those two questions have not been answered.
Right.
So they're in a captive situation and they don't feel safe and they're not sure who's in charge. That's torture.
Yeah, and to
That's
me that's the worst part about positive reinforcement. If that's what people if people think I shouldn't tell my dog no and I'm only going to reward them for the things that I like. Well, that's completely counterintuitive to the dog's nature as far as how they understand the world. And so that's how like you said it's like torture. That's how we end up with these neurotic dogs is because they've
Mhm.
never been told like what are the rules? Who's in charge around here? You
And I
because
worked
now
with kids. And I
yeah,
worked with kids for 15 years. They will never tell you I want rules, boundaries, limitations, but they do.
they do.
And they
They
feel
do.
so much more comfortable once it's
Right.
established and they know where is out of bounds and what is not. And then
Absolutely.
you can just have fun from there. Dogs are no
Absolutely.
different.
No, they're
Yeah.
not. They're not. It
We overthink stuff way too much.
we do. But I think you have a lot of people in this industry who they create all this complication and they create their own language but I think it's a great way to sell books. It's a great way to
That's
sell courses.
Yeah, that's my hesitation with all of it. I think it's complicated to justify that price tag. Oh, look how
Right.
complicated it really is. When though it's not that complicated. It's
No,
complicated
it's
for
not.
you to do, but the natural uh the natural approach is not complicated.
It's not. It's not. And I think it creates this idea that, well, it's too complicated for me to understand, so I need to rely on this person to teach me or break it down for me because they know far better than I do. It's like, no, you know, being a parent doesn't come with like an instruction manual, but I think instinctually a lot of people just know what to do, or at least they're going to learn quickly.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of similarities to having a dog where if I just approach it, and I tell this to my clients too, where I said like the way that you approach, say, interacting or disciplining your kid, just apply those same principles to your dog. That's all you have to do.
Yeah, but this new parenting style has confused a lot of people
Right,
because
right.
once that first child called 911 on their parent, that changed everything. Not that I am condoning abuse. If it's abuse, then that's different.
Sure,
But
sure.
parents have gotten very soft on kids. This is why I won't work
Absolutely,
with kids anymore. I will not work with kids anymore because they run the show. The
absolutely.
school does what the parents tell them to do, and the parents tell the
Yep,
kids what to do, and you have no control. And
yeah,
it's just a new philosophy that I think it comes from our world, and we translate it into
yeah,
the dog world, and it's overly
absolutely.
permissive because it makes us feel bad, or
Right, right.
we equate excitement with happiness,
Yep,
and a lot of misconceptions. But we're animal at the end of the day. We've just lost
definitely.
the
We're
natural
not in
way.
tune. Yeah, we're not in tune with those animal instincts. But no, I guess to clarify, because I have a series, I don't know if you've seen the videos. I have a series titled "The Parallels Between the Rise in Aggressive Behavior in Dogs and Kids."
I've seen some of those. That's interesting. Go ahead, but elaborate on that.
Yeah, thank you. Um, so to me, yeah, I agree. There's a lot of cultural overlap in terms of like you have the gentle parenting and all that permissive parenting in the human world with the kids, and then you have positive reinforcement, force free in the dog world. And to me, they're no different. I guess what I mean when
Hmm.
when I tell a client that is because I already see how they interact with their kids, and they do take more of an authoritative role with their kids. And so if I have a client who already does that, that's when I'll say, hey, just the same principles you're already doing with your kid, we're going to apply them to the dog. It's not
And you've
much
seen
different.
Caesar ask. He's asked people in a few sessions. Can I ask you a question? Did you give rules, boundaries, limitations to your kid?
To your
And
kid,
they
right?
look over at the kid, and the kid's like, "Hell yeah!" And then,
Yeah,
well, that's the conversation you have with Oprah. Your Sophie is your fur baby, but if you just embody who you are on stage, you can't go
right,
wrong. But when you come home,
right,
you act soft.
right.
So a lot of people, that's why David doesn't. Maybe some of these people don't have enough faith in people, but I know people can do this. They just
Absolutely.
need to be made to feel a certain way about it,
Yeah,
or to understand it in a different way. But they can do this. It's maybe
absolutely they
uncomfortable
can.
and more difficult for some to do it, but yeah, I have a few clients. The dog is just not going to match who they will ever be.
Yeah, I agree.
That's rare, though. I don't think that's common.
Yeah, it is
So,
rare. I've only had a couple clients where I really didn't think, yeah, it was just the dog and human just were not a good match. But in most 99% of the cases that I've gotten, the people could step up and develop the skills necessary to get it done. And I mean, I have
mhm.
Petunia the Pit Bull is one of my most successful stories, and her owner's she's an elderly woman, and it took her a little while, but she managed to cultivate the internal stuff necessary to flip that dynamic back to its natural order, which is human in charge. Human establishes the rules, boundaries, and limitations. Dog follows human. And so she just needed to understand how to do that. But it took her a while because she was naturally a bit more timid, a bit more anxious. And so she understood what she needed to do. And it just took her a little, it's a process for the human, just like it is for the dog.
Yeah, and it's the same process
Yeah, it is.
that we're
Yeah,
doing
it's
with
the
the
same
dog,
process.
that we're doing with the people, helping them find their potential. And it's
Right.
empowering for people once they embrace it and find it. Then it takes them places in their personal life because now they've found this strength
Yes.
to be
Yes.
assertive. And they'll I hear people say, oh, now I'm doing this and this and this, and now I'm going out more. And so through
Yeah,
the
because it's
dog you can learn to be, you know.
absolutely because it like we've already said, it's about who you are, not necessarily these training ideas. It's about embodying a new way of being, and yeah, that's going to bleed into every area of your life. You
Mhm.
know, say for men, like let's say maybe you have a hard time being confident with women or something, but you maybe through your dog you develop these leadership skills that's going to directly translate
Definitely.
to your confidence when you engage with the opposite sex or what have you. And it all connects together, because it's we're talking about an attitude, a mentality, a mindset, and who you're showing up as. And so that's
It can
you
go
ever heard.
both ways too. Go ahead, but no, I'll
Sure. I was
piggyback
just
on
gonna
that
say,
because
you ever heard that saying, wherever you go, there you are. So it's,
no, but
yeah,
what
basically
wherever you
it
go, there
means,
you are.
yeah, wherever you go, there you are. Basically saying like you could travel to fucking planet Ook, or whatever, with over in the 68 galaxies over, but you're still going to be the same person.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
you can't whatever problems you have that are directly tied to you, you're going to take them with you. And so if you develop a new way of uh, being, then no matter
Hmm.
where you go, as long as you've cultivated that, then you're going to be able to take that with you everywhere, and it's going to change how you interact with the world.
It's like kids with sports. You get them through sports to learn how to be,
Right.
and it takes you places in life. But we're just replacing it with a dog who
Right.
and to my point, you can almost that can work against somebody if it can demoralize them if they're when they get to this point where they can't get through these issues with their dog. You can I've met people who are broken behind it.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
can't get through the problem, and you know
It
it's
could be
sad.
hard because I know I've had several clients that there's always that, especially if we have difficult issues, there's always that rough patch in the middle where it's just it seems like we're never going to fix this, we're never going to get through it, but it's my job to support them through those things. And then finally
Yeah.
we kind of have a breakthrough, and then the dots start connecting for them, and then we start really making progress. But there's always that rough patch in the middle that it's like they believe that they're never going to solve it. And then I just have to stick with them and say, listen, I've been here before. I've had many
Hmm.
clients who have been exactly where you're at. Like, we can do this, just give it some more time. I understand why you want to give up or why you don't think it's redeemable, but I'm telling you, just give it some more time. We'll get there.
Right, and I think it is important to remind people. We used to be lost dog owners too.
Yeah,
I we
yeah,
had
I've
about
been,
we
I've
had
been through it myself. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I always we had two boxers growing up. They ran all around the neighborhood and they did whatever they want. And there were a lot of fights. We didn't know anything.
Right.
So we've made I remind people I've made all the mistakes. I still make mistakes.
Yep. Oh,
But
absolutely.
so it
Yeah,
is a
I
journey.
I tell people that too, and I think it kind of alleviates things for them if I let them know that, yeah, I've been there myself with my dogs. Yeah, that's how it should be right there. Absolutely. Yeah, just if you can, I'm sure y'all can hear snoring, but
Hmm.
yeah, if you just let them know, like, yeah, we're no exception. I've been through this with my own dog,
Just reading
and
from a later page. That's all.
right, right. I love
Yeah.
I love that saying from Brandon is you can't hear me because I'm at a later stage reading from a different page. I love that.
And
Um,
that's all it is. It's not about I'm making mistakes. You're just at an earlier chapter. It
right.
is uncomfortable, but it's part of the journey.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Just
And
like the dog.
and
It's uncomfortable, but it's part of the journey.
it's part of the journey. Yeah. But it's a
Yeah.
growth process. We're there's always going to be stress and discomfort when we're talking about growing as a person.
It is
And
not comfortable. No, it's
no,
not.
it's not comfortable at all. It
Growing
isn't.
pains.
You're right. Right. And but it's to what you just said. It's like you still make mistakes. I definitely still make mistakes. I'm not perfect. And I think a lot of people like to kind of create this image where they got it all figured out, and it's all this, glitz and glamour, and everything's edited to look real good. And that's why I like to just show the full, just unedited. What did we do? Because there are moments where, yeah, it's messy, and maybe I didn't make the right choice in that moment, and it leads to something that was not favorable. But the important thing is if we can adjust, we can see where we need to course correct, and we can get back on the right track. That's more important to me than making the mistake, because the mistakes can teach us something. And I love the
Yeah.
saying where it's not an error. A mistake is not an error until you make it twice. Or maybe I forget how that saying goes, but you know what I'm saying, where it's not like
Hmm.
you haven't fucked up until you. No, oh, that's right. Um, I forget exactly the saying, but it's something like the mistake doesn't become a choice until you repeat it more than once.
Yeah.
You know,
But yeah. And to
but
like Jordan's quote, I have failed over and over and over and over and over. That's why I'm
mm,
so successful because I
right,
accept failing as part of the journey. I don't let it
yes,
discourage me from staying the course. It's part of the journey. And a lot of people, like David Goggins, talks about this a lot. They get in their head and they can't get out of their head to get to the
yeah,
next stage. So that's the majority of dog training. It's not even the dog. It's not the dog.
it's the human, it's the
It's
human,
all.
and it's I've had so many clients too where because if my client struggles with something, then that to me that's my responsibility too. Like I feel like I'm failing. And so I'm constantly always thinking about, all right, what am I doing wrong in this situation? What could I do better to convey a certain message to my client, or to get them to understand certain things, or and so I'm always trying to tweak that too, of like, how can I improve my leadership when I'm instructing or teaching the human in the equation, because I can't change the dog until I can change them,
Yeah,
you
and I
know?
just show people this is what your dog is capable of. All right, now that we have that out of the way, and I already knew they were capable of that, now let's focus on the real
Right,
meat of the problem.
exactly.
And then people don't like that's why Caesar, I rehab dogs, I train people. People don't
Yep,
like that because they think I'm gonna hire a trainer to fix my broken dog.
right.
Well, your dog is not really broken. It may
No,
look broken, but it's not broken. I have not met many dogs who have something going on neurologically.
right.
That's very rare.
I think it's pretty
But
rare
it's
too.
it's the inconvenient reality, and I don't think a lot of training promotes that. It's about we'll fix your dog,
Right. And I
but that's
think
not even the problem.
that's something that I think can dissuade people from like what you and I do, is because like I said, I don't offer board and trains. I don't do to me, it's all about the onus is on the human. And so it puts us in a position where we have to be responsible. And like you said, the dog can look broken. It can look really, really bad, but we have to understand there's a series of events that led up to that, to led up to how the dog is now. And
Hmm.
how do we need to change the way we think and approach this situation to undo all of that? But yeah, it's not about, say, quote, fixing the dog. And I think a lot of people, they really want to be told that, yeah, I can take your dog for 2 3 months and
Right.
make
Sounds
it
nice.
perfect. Yeah, it sounds great, but then because I explain this to potential clients, where I say, like I don't do that, because the problem lives at home, and I need
And
to
it's
be able
just
to
gonna keep
come.
coming back. It's just gonna keep
Right,
coming back if you don't address
right,
the root.
right.
Like any
And I
health problem, if you don't address the root
yeah,
of the health problem, it's just gonna keep coming back.
exactly. And I've had people call me, where they said I took my dog to or I sent my dog to a 6 week board and train, and it's usually one of three outcomes. The dog is worse because the person didn't know what the fuck they were doing.
Mhm.
Two, the dog now listens really well for that person, but still doesn't listen to them. Oh, that's a good question, Princess. We'll get to that in a second. Um, or maybe the dog came back really, really good, but now that instructor didn't do any follow up with the people at home. And
Yeah.
so things start out okay and then gradually just fall apart again. And it's like, well, now you just wasted however many thousands of dollars sending your dog away to
Right.
the, so
If it's
it creates
if
all
it's aggression, if it's aggression and you will need to remove them from that equation to
sure,
uh to lower the cortisol level so you can have a
sure,
conversation with them so you can instill new values, and then that's different.
right,
But most
right.
don't require a boarding train.
No. No, like if I have an aggressive dog where I need to do certain things with that dog, it's usually a couple of days. And then,
Right. It doesn't,
you
yeah.
know, it doesn't take 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. Um,
No.
but that also is good to give the owner a bit of a breather. And so
Yeah,
then I can, but
definitely.
it's important for me to be able to take that dog away from the home environment because a lot of times I'll see like what's underneath all of this. I'll get the real dog if I take them out of the environment that they're behaving this way in. And then that'll tell me a lot about what is the root of the problem, like you said, and then we can create a much better strategy moving forward of how do we resolve this, you know?
Right. And like I tell people, is when Caesar goes to homes, he's doing two things. He's trying to figure out, is this genetic or learned? Oh,
Hmm.
and then he's trying to figure out, can you do this at home with guidance, or does this dog need to go to the center for extensive rehab?
Right,
So the first step is determining, is this genetic or learned? And you can find that out pretty quickly if you just do what you know how to do as a trainer. Then the dog suddenly remembers how to do all these things. It wasn't genetic.
right,
Then it's a much easier equation to solve than a genetically predisposed dog to be a certain way.
right,
That is a totally different can of worms, but those are rare. So that's why the boarding doesn't even, it's not going to give people what they want in the end. It looks like you're just going to, we have a society where we hire someone to clean the pool, we hire someone to
right.
come by and clean the car for us, or but we
Yep.
don't learn how to do these things. Now I can see with those things, but with your kids and your dogs you need to be more hands
Sure.
on, which is why I like the in person
Yeah, and
approach.
that because that's all about the relationship you've built, and you can't just send your dog to some stranger to if I have a problem between me and the dog, sending it somewhere for 6 weeks isn't going to solve what's going on between me and the dog.
And this is why AI won't be able to do this.
No,
They
no.
can take
Job security.
over certain industries, yeah, but job security wise they can't do this because it involves emotion.
Right. Right.
It's not
Yeah,
just
yeah.
it's
There's
not
a
just
lot
copy
of
and paste. It's not a computer.
no, and I don't think a dog would really respond to a robot in the same way that it would respond to a human being.
No. Even
It's
if it
just
was
not
able to administer treats the same way a human could, it
right.
still is not gonna.
No,
It's
there's
not
not
gonna.
that again, the energy that's totally missing from all that.
Right.
A robot's not going to be
And
able to embody a particular energy.
and that's why Caesar could use like Daddy, because Daddy had an energy
Yeah,
and he can
yeah, and
just
that's
do it
that's why,
faster than Caesar can never do it.
absolutely, and that's why I got this little girl.
Yeah.
She helps me with the dogs in ways that like we just we're limited in our ability. They're just certain things that she can do that I can't, and it's just the way it is. No, um there's no amount of developing certain skills in myself that's ever going to compare to dog interaction. It's just never going to be
No,
the same.
because we've been contaminated by the 21st century human world. Dogs
That's a
haven't.
big part of it. Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
They're still raw in who they are. We've been
Yep.
manipulated so much, and we
Yeah.
second guess. what is normal, what is not, because mainstream cultures has us second guessing what's natural. But
Oh, I
PETA's
know, and
gonna
it's
end
in
up
the yeah, it's in the
PETA's
marketing
gonna
too.
end
It's
up
like,
winning. PETA
yeah.
doesn't want pets in the home,
Oh, I know.
and
I
we're
know that's
and
the
we're not far
long-term push.
from yeah, and we're not far. If the like to your video, why is there an increase in aggression? And there is. I talked to people who've been in this game for 10 plus years. They've seen the uptick. So the big question is why? It's not dogs. Dogs haven't really changed.
No, they
But
haven't.
well, because a lot of people don't know Caesar came here to train Hollywood dogs. He came here to be a Hollywood trainer.
Did
And
he
then when
really?
he
I didn't
got
know that.
here, yeah, that's why he says in Mexico dogs are skinny, but they have less psychological issues. Dogs in America are chunky, and I
I've
get to
heard
have
him
a
say
TV
that.
show because
Yeah. Yeah.
it's the leashes and the barriers that cause all this frustration and anxiety and imbalance. So he changed course when he got here because he noticed. So in other words, we're both messed up in the
Yeah.
West because we've just they've been kind of misled because we've been misled.
Right.
So
Right.
it is
Yeah.
about
It's yeah. Absolutely.
realigning with a natural path.
When so my theory about it is, and I mentioned this in I think it was the video I just put out about the Muslim people in New York trying to making statements about
Yeah.
not keeping dogs indoors. But um my suspicion is that this cultural push to center everything around positive reinforcement, and you can't tell your dog no, and that's abusive, and all that bullshit. If they know it'll create a whole just nation of the most misbehaved or badly behaved dogs, and those behavioral issues are going to keep getting more and more out of control, like we're already seeing. Reactivity and aggression are just like an epidemic. And so
Hmm.
if we ban all of these things that at least help people to get things under control, and we tell people you can't tell your dog no, and everything's got to be positive reinforcement, then this problem just spirals further out of control, into the point where they may just say, well, okay, well, you guys, we just it's illegal now to have a dog because
Right. And
they're so
my conspiracy theory hat goes off when I hear that stuff because was it designed? I don't know. Hegelian dialectic is problem reaction solution. So you
problem
create the
reactions.
problem,
Absolutely.
wait for the reaction, then come in with your
Provide the
solution.
solution.
So
Absolutely.
was it a campaign to make people believe saying no is bad when really not saying no is bad? That's abuse. Not saying no.
Right.
And then
Right. Right.
only for us to get to this point where people can't control dogs. So the shelter
Yeah.
that I worked at, I got in trouble for saying no, for
I bet.
uttering the
I bet.
word no, because
Fucking
I was
crazy.
so adult. You open the crate door, the dog bolts out. I'm trying to establish a threshold boundary, and
Hmm.
if I use the word no, I got in trouble. But that dog had been there for over a year.
Yeah.
But even though you still weren't allowed to say no,
It's crazy.
and it's just again, I find that abusive. It's
Yeah,
how you
I think so.
how you say no could be abusive, but not saying no is abuse, plain and
Right.
simple.
Yeah, because now we create all these dogs. Like you said, the majority of the dogs you meet are insecure. I meet
Hmm.
a lot of insecure, anxious, stressed out dogs, and it's yeah, they're living in this constant state of they don't have certainty in their life. There's no clear structure to anything, and so you may have dogs who
Predictability.
believe there's no routine, no predictability, no understanding and knowing who's in charge, so I don't have to worry about anything. And so the dog is just constantly stressed out all the time.
They
And
never have that
right,
moment where they
right,
just I now I get it. Now I'm safe and I know who's in charge. Now I can just be.
right,
But
right. I
dogs
can
walk on
just
eggshells all the time.
yeah, yeah, I can just relax. You know, I can walk out the door. She's not gonna care. She'll just keep sleeping. I'll come back.
Mhm.
It's not a big deal. And that's like the analogy for anybody who hasn't watched any of my videos about separation anxiety. I have this analogy, and you tell me if you think it's a shitty one or not, Travis. But imagine, you know, you no call, no show at work. Well, your boss is going to be calling you like, "Where the fuck are you at?" It's going to stress your boss out a little bit because you didn't show up and you didn't call. But now, if you go to work and your boss doesn't show up, you're not going to give a fuck if your boss isn't there. In fact, you'll probably enjoy it that they're not there. You're not going to be calling them
Mm-hmm.
up being like, "Where you at, boss?" No, it don't work
Right.
that way. So, if we understand dogs are creatures of hierarchy and you have not clearly established that you are in charge and your dog thinks it has to manage the group, well, it only makes sense that if you walk out the door and your dog thinks, I got to manage you, and now, oh, the group's walking out the door, it causes the
That's
dog to
stressful.
fucking, yeah, it's very stressful. It causes all the panic and the anxiety and everything. And that's why the dogs will just bark nonstop because it's like, I'm in charge of this group and the group's walking. What are you doing? You're leaving.
It's setting a
And
dog up to be who they can't be,
yeah, right,
and there's gonna be
right.
stress.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
yeah,
so
when you leave, yeah,
if we
that's what
flip
does
that
cause the separation
dynamic,
anxiety. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. That's the way I see it. Maybe that's the best analogy I guess I could come up with. Maybe there's better ones out there, but yeah, if you flip that dynamic to where now your dog understands you're in charge and accepts that, and then you walk out the door, then your dog's not going to care, because now the dog's like, oh, boss is leaving, boss will be back, no big deal. I'll go to sleep or something.
Yeah. And there's something to be said about early on. How would a dog know you're just going to the mailbox? Especially for a dog who's been like Prince was in. I was about the seventh place he'd been in by the time I got him.
Wow,
So
seventh.
I can
Holy
imagine
shit.
how he could feel like, well, are you about to abandon me like everybody else?
Right,
Who do
right.
I invest in? Because they all every time I try to invest, they leave. So I mean, you do still have to make them believe it. And
Sure.
duration, you leave for a minute, come back. You leave for 5 minutes and come back, and then
Yeah,
eventually. So there, it's understandable because packs don't leave. They don't split up like that.
right.
They all go together. It's unnatural to leashes are unnatural and separating is unnatural, but we have to make them feel natural about it. But separation anxiety is real. That's some serious stuff.
It's a very common problem too, and it's
Hmm.
but that's the best way that I've found to kind of make it make sense for
Yeah.
people.
If my
Um,
boss has established the order, I don't care if they're not there. It's already
right,
everything is still running smoothly, and I don't need them to be here to be.
right, right. But yeah, if you don't show up, of course you're gonna get a phone call like, where are you at? you
But
know?
some people like that stuff. Oh, I can't go to the bathroom without the dog being in the bathroom with me, and they
Oh,
think it's
I
kind of
don't
cute.
I don't understand. Well, because that's a very selfish thing as far as the
Yeah.
way I see it. Is like, you know, for that person, the dog is more of a emotional tampon, if you will. It's like they're using the dog to make themselves feel better.
Oh,
Oh,
they love me. They just can't live without me.
right, right. Actually,
Yeah.
my client, so the individual with the dachshund in Scotland, her
Yeah.
boyfriend, uh, he's got that same kind of dynamic with his dog, where the dog will literally go to the bathroom with him when he showers, and the dog will like whine and sit on the toilet. And she's trying to tell him that that's not a good thing, and he's trying to say that that's the way it should be, and it's like abusive to put the dog in another room or for you to close the door on the dog. And I'm thinking, this is a grown man saying this shit. Like, how do you reach a point where you want the dog to be like all anxious and wound up, and you can't even go take a shower without the dog having to be in the same room as you? That's not healthy.
No, and a lot of dogs are keeping tabs on their owners. It's not even really I can't live without you. It's where are you now? Or how about
Right,
now?
right, right.
And how that's unhealthy because
Totally
obviously the dog's
unhealthy.
got the wrong perception of the relationship.
Yeah.
So yeah, and a lot of dog issues start from the emotional side of humans.
Hmm.
We do what makes us feel good.
Right.
Ask not what your dog can do for you. ask what you can do for your dog because
What can
they're
you
in
do for your
captivity.
dog?
The human can leave at any time.
Yeah,
The dog is stuck.
right. And that
And
always, I found that to be, it's an interesting thing to think about. Because you know, and maybe I'm being a bit petty with it, but say like the force free people where they talk about why they're force free, and I'm thinking, yeah, but the act of you bringing a dog into your home was, I mean, that was an act. I've not met, or at least none of my three dogs wanted to willingly follow me into my car when I adopted them. You know,
hmm
so bringing the dog into your home was probably against their will. So that was
yeah,
an act of
it's
force you
force.
put on. Yeah, you forced
There's
them
no
to
such
live with
thing
you.
as force free. Exactly.
No,
It sounds cute, but purely positive, no such thing. Force
no,
free, no such thing.
no such thing.
People, it is depov. You can think you're not being abusive, but if the dog feels from dog's eye point of view that it's abusive, or then it is.
Definitely,
Then
yeah.
it's
It's how
abusive.
the dog interprets it, you know, and it's
So you can put a pink harness with ribbons all over it on your dog. If they find that restrictive and oppressive, then that's what it is.
right, right.
So
And you have
nobody's free from that.
no,
From
no,
you're abusive to your dog one way or another.
yeah. And force is a principle of nature too. Like we can't avoid it.
Right.
But
Yes.
yeah, like to that point, there's gonna be something you do that your dog really isn't gonna like, you know,
hmm
and how do you there's no way around that,
No, and
you
I see
know?
people drop their kids. I've worked with 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, up to 20, 21-year-olds. People drop their 4 or 5-year-olds off to school on the first day. Have you ever seen a kindergartner lose their mind on the first day of school? But we do that stuff all the time,
Yep,
and it's normal. It's
yep.
normal. But you can't even look at a dog sideways, or you're abusive.
Right, right.
And
Oh,
it's
the
it's
dog
just
is
so
so
silly.
stressed out. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, but the stress, like if I'm gonna get this dog to a calm, balanced, healthy state of mind, there's gonna be stress involved. Like how do you
Right.
why is it such a bad thing for me to work my dog through that stress? If on the other side of it, there's something far better for that dog. Why is
Yeah.
this
It's
the
like
first sign of stress we're freaking out and panicking and saying, "Oh, poor dog." It's like, no, that this is a good thing in the long run.
it's part of it comes with the territory. And again, like even with the Earth graders, they're not doing addition and subtraction anymore. Now they're doing multiplication and division, and it is very stressful to a lot of kids. We don't want them to be confused or stressed, but they must learn certain life skills, and they will be
Sure.
stressed. But we have no problem putting kids through any of this stuff.
Right. Right. But
We
for
do it
some
all day,
reason,
every day. Yeah.
yeah, for some reason you're a shitty human being if you put the dog through the same kind of rigorous. It's like, why do we make exceptions for the dog, but we're perfectly it's like those same people who believe you shouldn't tell your dog no have no issue telling people no or being shitty to
Right.
another human being. It's like, well, why are you okay being shitty to people, but you can't tell your dog no? I don't understand.
Yeah, because like to your point, you can ask the client, "Do you tell your kids no?" Oh, absolutely. Well, what are we doing here?
We'll do the same thing to your dog,
Because the
you know.
because the dog has that way of looking, and it makes people
Right. The
it
dog,
melts people,
yeah.
and
The
people
dog's cute.
yeah.
I said you can't be swayed by the cute because I've had people say that. Oh, I feel bad. The dog's so cute. I said you cannot be swayed by the cuteness.
Cute
Don't.
or feel sorry. That's why people adopt dogs a lot. Feel sorry or they're cute or
Yeah.
both. And
Right. Right.
yeah. And
No
that's
consideration. Oh, go ahead, Travis.
well, I like what Caesar's doing more now, prevention versus trying to redeem a situation that is so far gone. He focuses a lot more on putting the right people with the right dog from the beginning.
Oh, is that what he's doing
Because
now? I haven't caught
yeah,
up with Caesar.
his Better Human, Better Planet show is very good, but
Is
it
it?
focuses a lot more on prevention and setting people up from the beginning.
I like that.
Yeah, because some people pick the wrong dog because they're cute or they feel sorry for them, and
Right.
a year later, or short or less than that, it's a nightmare. It
Yeah, and
doesn't
it
take
well,
long.
because they start off on the wrong foot too. Is if they lead with love and affection, and there's nothing the dog truly needs, then
Mhm.
eventually that dog is going to, you know, the problems don't
Find its
just
own
come out
way.
of nowhere. Yeah, it's gonna find its own way, and that
And in the training
usually,
world, it's the three threes, 3 days to do this, 3 weeks to do this, 3 months for this.
oh
And it's a
yeah,
lot of
yep,
let them decompress, let them do it. Well,
right,
you've already missed the window at that point.
yep, yep,
That
because
causes
that
a lot of problems.
yeah, from day one, the second you bring that dog home, you should be establishing the order of things.
Yeah,
You
you don't have
know,
to start barking like a drill sergeant.
no, no,
It's a lot more of refraining from doing certain things than doing certain things.
yeah,
Refraining from all that affection and the play. That's
yeah,
why I don't like this play based
yeah,
approach, because I know a lot of dogs that will backfire real fast with the wrong dog owner. And I know they're going on Google search and they're, how do I fix my problems? And they go, oh, I'll just play with them. Well, you have a dog who's going to get excited dominant, and now you got a problem, because that's very different than excited submissive. So now you've ramped the dog up, and now they got a bite, and now you have a big problem.
right,
And when
right.
those are things you can ease into, but don't start there.
Yeah, I wouldn't
You know,
start there.
the
No.
tug, the flirt pole, the all these
Hmm.
things that are promoted by people who come from the working dog world into the pet world, I think is probably more dangerous to me than the force free camp.
You think so? Yeah.
Maybe just in a different way, but tug, I don't advise it.
Yeah, I don't either.
Flirt
I don't
poles, I
advise it.
don't advise it. Playing, I'm playful, but I don't necessarily play. I let dogs play with dogs.
Right.
All
Right.
that playing is you got to be careful who you do that with.
Right. Yeah, because I don't, and it's I try to explain this to people, like for instance, tug. I don't want to play tug. Now, I play tug with Goose sometimes because it's not a
Yeah,
problem. But say if I'm still building a relationship with a particular dog, I don't want to give that dog, it's like what Brandon says, I want to give that dog the idea that it can challenge me for control
why
over
would you do
something.
that?
Yeah,
Right.
why would I want to?
You're already having a relationship issue.
Yeah,
Why would you start playing tug
right. Because now
just
your
because they
dog,
like
the
it?
dog, the dog doesn't know you're playing a game. The dog now believes that, hey, we're battling for control over this thing, and you're
And you're
you're
fine
allowing
with
me
it.
to do it. Yeah, you're fine
Hmm.
with it. Yeah, and
Yeah,
so,
that's
but it's the same with like you said with play, and for me, it's like I don't want my dog to see me as a playmate. I want my dog to see me as an authority figure, and so I don't. There are just certain things that we shouldn't do right away. That we say that's like the icing on the cake for later. We don't
yeah.
we got to build the cake first. But
The bed, full access to the house. Those are all things
right,
that you work up to, but it can go to a
right,
dog's head real fast if you just
yep,
give them full access to all these things. They're not even prepared to even handle it.
right.
So like
Yeah, they got
start
to
at
earn
level
that.
one excitement. Start at level one. Teach them how to think at level one excitement. Then level two. Then level three. Don't just go in and start ramping them up. They don't even know how to
No,
make good decisions when they're on level five excitement. And they
right.
get in trouble and things happen, and then the relationship goes south real fast.
It
Because
can.
even if it's just as simple as the dog is excited dominant, and now there's hesitation in their vibration, and now it's over.
The dog
It's
knows.
over. It's
Dog
over at
knows.
that point. You can come back from that, but the dog knows.
Yeah,
Oh, I got your
the
number on
dog knows.
redial now. Yeah, you
Yep.
don't run this. And people think like dominance doesn't exist. I'm tired of this narrative.
I'm tired of it too, man.
Dominance is 100% a fact. And here's one analogy. People say like dogs who get in altercations with other dogs is all fear based. Well, I
Yeah,
know
I
a
just
one who,
yeah.
I'll give a perfect analogy. Two dogs I was doing house sitting. One of them threw up. The other one waddled over to him, squared him off for about 2 seconds. He didn't move, and it was on. And she'll do
Was it
that to
over
him
the
every
throw up?
time.
Was
Over
it
throw
over the
up.
throw up? Yep.
There's no
Yep.
fear there whatsoever. She's
No.
saying, "That's mine. Move. You have
Yep.
2 seconds, and if you don't
Yep.
move, I'll make you move." But that's not uncommon. That's
Right.
actually quite common in the dog world.
Yeah, and that's because I often point to dog fights to as an example of, the people that don't believe that dogs establish dominance hierarchies or that's not a part of the equation. Yeah, the first thing I think of is, well, how come all the, if dogs that fight with each other like to the death, you're telling me that there's something else happening, like you said, it's fear or stress, or you're
Well,
telling me
some would say there's prey drive there, which yeah, but that's not fear. There's no
no,
fear there at all.
no.
And there are dogs who respond aggressively out of fear. Prince, sounds. Sounds will
Sure.
make him go and take care of it, full throttle. But where Millie is intrinsically motivated to be aggressive, she likes it.
Yeah.
Prince
Wow.
doesn't like it.
Yeah.
He just does it out of response. He goes all the way. But Millie loves it.
Yeah,
She likes to
some dogs
dominate.
do. Some dogs do enjoy. Yeah, and that's the thing is when you have a dog like that, the people that spread that narrative, those are the dogs they won't acknowledge, they won't go near them, they won't touch them, they won't
No.
none of it
And it's
because
good they don't. It's like
right.
Zach George tries to show here, look, here's an aggressive dog here. Ta-da! Well, that's not aggressive. Not even
Yeah,
close.
doesn't meet the criteria.
No.
But I've seen Goose do that thing. I even had a little clip at one of the it was like an end of one of the videos I did where because this is something Goose will do, and depending on the dog, I'll allow it. I usually don't, but his dog named Buck, and Buck had a little roll, and Goose jumped off the couch, walked up to him, and stared him down, and basically said, "I'm taking that fucking roll." And I managed to get it on camera, and I allowed it to happen. And because Buck has resource guarding issues, so I'm like, I'm gonna let Goose come take this from him. I think it'll be, and he's still a puppy, so I thought this would be a good lesson for Buck. So Goose just comes up, stares him down, squares off, and then her next move was she just snapped at him. Buck backed up, and she's like, "All right, I'm taking this fucking thing," and then she jumped back up on the couch. And I'm like, "Well, wait a minute. If all aggression is rooted in fear, then how do you explain what just happened here? Because she moved towards this dog, stared him down, snapped at him, took the roll, and then went back. And the other and Buck didn't. Buck just let it happen. He's like, okay, I'm not going to challenge you. And but do you see? I can go and take the roll from Goose. She's not going to do. She's not going to assert herself towards me. But there's a clear demonstration of a hierarchy there. You
Yeah,
know,
and Caesar would say some dogs are insecure dominant. Goose isn't insecure. She's just
no.
dominating, psychologically
Definitely.
dominating in that moment. But there's no insecurity there.
No.
There are some dogs who do it, but there's an air of insecurity behind it, and that's a little different. But
Yeah.
it's still dominance.
Definitely. Yeah. It
Dogs are
is.
very dominant. Dogs are very dominant. They,
Yeah.
I know it's
It's.
not like the dog went out of the door first. They're being dominant. Well,
Yeah.
that's
No.
not what
Yeah.
we're
I don't.
talking about.
No. No. I don't agree with that either. I let Goose out the front in front of me all the time. But yeah, a dog going out in front of you through the door to me is not a. It's just the dog's excited to go out. It's
Yeah.
usually very impulsive. There's other things going on there than the dog just trying to be dominant. But of course, there's a spectrum to it. And the one category I found very fascinating, like Brandon talks about, is the subdominant. And so
Yes.
you may even have dogs that display a lot of submissive tendencies, but also have there are dominant traits there, and it's
It
a
just
very interesting,
it can
yeah,
switch in a second. Yeah.
yeah, it's a very interesting combination.
He evals dogs and like no one I've really ever heard. Things he uses to eval them: mentally dominant, physically
Yeah,
dominant,
I
mentally
I love
submissive.
that. Yeah,
I mean, if you don't uh and analyze the dog correctly in the beginning, well, you're gonna be lost from the beginning.
right.
So if you see a dog who is dominant and headstrong, but you're saying it's fearful, well, you've missed the mark, and you're not going to be able to fix that problem,
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
don't
and
have any
I
business
I
doing it.
right, and it's I've had dogs too where they appear confident and dominant, but really the root of it is insecurity or fear. And
Yeah,
so sometimes it can be a bit misleading. And so you just really have to know how to distinguish between the two. But it could be a situational thing too. Sometimes there are certain dogs that are very confident in certain situations, but in other
yeah,
contexts, not so much, you know?
yeah. We see it all the time. Like in the house, the dog is very sure of themselves, but
Oh
out
yeah.
in the environment, they become very insecure.
Yep, I
But that
see
doesn't
that.
mean they're not dominant in the house. They're very
Right,
comfortable and confident and dominant in the house. And if the child comes and sits on the couch next to the dog, but the dog thinks that's their pillow, that's not
right.
fear. I mean, you could say I fear losing a resource, but like territorial aggression.
Yeah.
Prince would kill somebody over his whole house. He owned his foster home. Eh, I would guess he was fearful in some ways. I'm scared of losing everything I find safe, my safe zone.
Yeah.
But he's very dominant also. Because he didn't bark at me. When I went in that house to meet him, he did not bark. He just still and quiet.
Oh, he's one of those quiet ones, yeah.
Yeah. And I told her I said he was on a muzzle. And I said, I'm gonna walk to the kitchen, just let him go. I want to see what he'll do. He charged me like a Scud missile. And he probably would have hit me hit me 30 times. She had time to go to the refrigerator to get lunch meat to try to dangle it in front of him. That didn't work. And then her dog was attacking him while he was attacking me. That didn't help.
Wow.
He
Wow.
didn't care. And I said, "Oh, you can get him now. I believe him." So yeah, it was dominance, but he was rooted in fear. But it's still dominance.
Yeah, the way it's carried out is
Yeah,
the dog is attempting to gain control. You know, it's rooted in fear, but it's still a way for the dog still wants control over this thing.
yeah. To masterfully
Or it's
control the moment, dominance.
yeah. Yeah,
He was trying to masterfully control the moment
I like that.
to
Masterfully
dominate the
controlled.
moment. That's
Yeah.
Caesar. He learned that from the Lakers dominated the court. They masterfully controlled the court. That's why he used the word dominance, and then he got all twisted. You know. But it doesn't mean to be aggressive. I think a lot of
No.
people interpret dominance with aggression and submission with
Right.
fear, and
Right. It's
they
not
get
the
lost
same.
from there.
Yeah, it's
No,
not
it's
the
not the
same.
same.
It's like when dogs first come through here, you know, depending on the dog, like Goose, the way she um engages with that dog upon first meeting, like if I have a dog like Buck, like the one I was just saying, she's going to posture, she's going to stare that dog down, she's going to display herself in a way that says, I'm head bitch around here,
Without
and
fighting, to
without
try
fighting,
to
right,
avoid a fight. Yeah.
right. There's no aggression there, but she's coming across very, she's sending the message of like, hey, you need to understand your place here, and
Mhm.
I will put you in line if I have to. Which that's like I said, that the whole point of the hierarchy is to avoid conflict. So they're trying to establish what's the rank here, where do I fit in, so that we can avoid
Yeah.
problems moving forward.
This
You
is what
know,
me and you are doing when we go to a home. We're having
right?
that same conversation. Let's just resolve this peacefully, and that's the best interest for both of us. And most dogs, they're happy to do it. They don't want
Most
to
of them,
be in charge. Yeah, most of them.
no, they don't. Most of them don't want to be in charge.
Because they know they can't really control the world they live in. Now, in Caesar's world, where he comes from in Mexico, that's different. That's a whole different scenario. Dogs off leash, they can come and go. If they don't like your energy, they can go away.
Yeah, yeah, like the
Not
street
in
dog.
America, not in the West.
No, no, they're like this. Every home is like a glorified fishbowl. The dog is
Yeah.
stuck there, and
Mhm.
this is why I always laugh when people talk. Well, my dog has a backyard. I got a big backyard for my dog, and I'm like, that ain't. It's like a glorified fishbowl. That just letting your dog out in the backyard is not the same as you taking that dog for a structured walk every day and doing certain things with that dog. Just letting it out in the backyard is not enough. It's not getting done what you think
No.
it's getting done.
It's recess versus PE. I guess maybe.
Yeah, yeah,
PE is
I
more
like that.
structured. It's fun, but it's not quite math class either.
Right.
Even though math class can be fun, but
I like that. Recess versus PE. That's good. That's good. I like that.
recess is backyard. Chuck E. Cheese. You can do it
Yeah,
almost whatever you
yeah.
want.
Just go out there and have fun. Yeah.
PE is fun, but we're not doing whatever. There's some
No,
structure
structured.
here.
Yeah, structured activity. Yeah,
Yeah,
but there's still a PE instructor leading that
yeah,
activity. You know.
yeah. Recess
Um.
or there's just somebody supervising. Y'all do
Right.
it, and I'll be over here. Let me know if you need anything.
Yeah. You got the moderator versus
Right.
the instructor.
And people are
Um.
playing mostly the moderator role,
Yeah.
and you have to be a lot more hands on.
Right. At least at first, that's where we should end up.
Yeah, first.
We should
Right.
end up, yeah. You start as the instructor, very involved, and then you end up, if you do everything right, you become the
Yes.
moderator because now you can give your dogs the freedom,
To
but you're
make
still
choices.
there. Yeah, right. Yeah, and all those choices are under your purview and within the limits you've established. So then, yeah, you're just, especially if you have a group of dogs, you're the moderator. Then now you're just kind of making sure nothing gets out of hand.
Yeah, and I don't know if we're what direction we're heading in the training world. If I feel like the force free camp had their day and it's over.
You think it's dying?
And I think
Yeah,
the balance team has had their is having their day, but it's almost over because neither one of them are the answer. Even though technically what we're doing is balanced,
yeah.
but it's
They
not the
would. I
same
think
type of balance.
right. I think a lot of people would, upon first glance, they probably would categorize it as that, but it's not. But we don't approach these issues through
A learning
applying
based
learning theory.
exercise.
Yeah, it's not it has nothing to do with that. It's like I said, there's a learning component there, but it's not when we're talking about Mother Nature. This is not this it goes deeper than that. It's not a
Maybe it's what Caesar and what Lynn was talking about. Caesar didn't tell him step by step by step by step. He influenced him through his energy and his demonstration.
yeah,
It's not the same as coaching every step of the way.
right. Right. He showed him, and Lynn had the opportunity to observe and I for me it's just the way I am, but I learn just as much by just observing and watching as I would if somebody actually just like instructed me,
Yeah, and
you
obviously
know.
people learn different
Different
ways.
ways, yeah.
Sound like
Yeah.
you can learn in different way, both two different ways.
Yeah. Yeah, I can learn in
Sometimes
both.
I can hear it, I can watch it. I still have to do it though. But
Right. So what's Travis, what's your biggest maybe say complaint about the dog training world online? Like what's the thing that really rubs you the wrong way the most?
in the training in general or just the online part of it?
I would say, well, maybe both. Like as far as what you see online, but versus, yeah, maybe just in the real world, what you encounter.
Well, I definitely don't like the infighting, the bickering. We like, the saying only thing two trainers can agree on is the
This
third
is the
one doesn't
third
know
straight.
anything.
Yeah, yeah, right.
And I think that's true to some degree. Obviously, we're gonna agree on different things, but
Sure.
these camps, and we can't
Yeah,
even talk to different camps because it gets start name calling and all.
yeah,
We can't just have conversations. It's very much like high school,
right. Or
and
just
I
a
don't like it.
respectful disagree. Like, there's nothing wrong with disagreeing or debating, but there's a way to go about it that, like, we could still respect each other and not act like children. You know.
Yeah, like David
Um,
and I didn't exactly agree, but we had
no,
a cordial conversation.
definitely,
And those
definitely.
conversations, I give him his props for having those conversations because there are a lot of them who will not.
Yeah,
They already know everything. They know they're in their camp and they don't want to make any adjustments. But my biggest problem is not even the force free people. confuse a lot of people. I think that's a big problem. But the people coming in on the balance side, they're coming from a world where there's no money. There's no money in working dogs. That's for enthusiasts, people who will really take that stuff very seriously. And they're very good
Yeah.
at what they do. I love Ivan. I think he's very good at what he does.
Hmm.
I've watched 100 hours of his podcast, but I don't agree with bringing all that into the pet dog world. And I think that's the biggest
Yeah.
problem because they're more competent with dogs on a level that the forestry people aren't. So they're automatically going to get the attention of dog owners, and they're going to think, well, they must know what they're talking about because they're able to do these things. Yeah, well, a lot of them aren't. They're not out there with their dogs naked.
Right.
A lot of them are. They have to keep that prong or that collar on those dogs,
Right.
and they'll say, well, we deal with hardcore dogs who are genetically predisposed to be a little more hardcore than the average pet dog. But I don't know if that how true that really is because I've heard people say who are have been in both worlds. Pet dogs, when it gets aggressive, you don't want to be around if you don't know what you're doing
Right. It's
because
serious shit.
it's more serious than
Yeah.
a dog who is genetically driven and enhanced to bite professionally versus a dog who is a basket case and they're biting for survival.
Right. Right. Yeah,
That's
that
two
because that's
different things.
total. Yeah, it's total fight or flight. Like I feel my life is threatened, and I'm going to fight to protect myself.
And I think
Versus,
Ivan has a lot of skills in the pet dog world. For example, there's a
definitely.
video with him and Tina where he did a great job with Tina, and she was a tricky dog. Most trainers would have a hard time with that dog. So I appreciate a lot of these people, but we need to be able to have the uncomfortable conversations and figure out where those things aren't applicable because there are too many things they're doing and promoting that I because when I go to these homes, I'm asking people. The first thing I do is I tell them I'm not going to acknowledge the dog. And then we go sit down and talk for 20, 30 minutes. And I'll ask them,
Hmm.
what have you been doing? What type of what approaches have you been using? So I've heard all these things: flirt poles, tug of war,
Yeah.
e-collars, frown collars. And it's the same old, same old, same old. And I don't know how much you've ever used any of those things, but I've 99% of the cases I've never done any of that stuff. And it's obviously not necessary. Then and
No.
that, if that's true, then why are we doing it? They like to say it's to give the owner leverage, and I do see that to some degree.
Yeah.
But I wonder if how true that really is. Is it to give the owner leverage, or the trainer can't do it without it?
Right. Well, and that's
Mm,
so. I just put out a video, I think last week, where I was talking about Clark, and it was the first time I personally had ever used an e-collar. And in that case, so I have videos showing what I did with Clark because I didn't need an e-collar when I had Clark here with me. And I got things to a really good level with Clark at my place where we didn't have any problems. But transferring that back to the home environment was they were having a lot of struggles. And so it was the first time that I had ever even considered saying like, well, why don't we try an e-color out for you guys?
yeah,
Because I want to make, you know, when you have a dog who's attacking the family, it can be really hard to. There's a lot of
that's as bad
distrust.
as it gets. That's as
Yeah,
bad as it gets.
there's a lot of frustration, distrust, there's a lot of hesitation, fear. And so, in that case, giving them that tool and using it correctly really did give them leverage. But, they sent me an update. We used the vibrate function like 3 times. And
Exactly.
that was all we needed. And they sent me an update saying, "Hey, we haven't had to use the vibrate all week. Everything's great." And I'm like, "Okay, perfect." So we used it the way because like I said, it's the first time I'd ever used one, so I think we were successful in it. But it did give them that extra edge that I don't think they would have been able to have. But me as the professional, I shouldn't have to rely on an e-collar to get that dog to respect me. And I didn't need
No.
that for Clark. I was able to get that done pretty quickly with him in a matter of days. But the owners aren't me, and so that's where that gap exists. And so,
And that's why I'm
um,
so hesitant. E-collars in the hands of some of these people, I don't have a
Right.
problem. They are skilled professionals,
Definitely.
but the owner is not. They don't know the
Right.
timing and the body language. You have to be an expert at reading body language to know when and
Right.
at what intensity. But a lot of the problem I have is either A, they'll strap a collar on day one with all dogs right out of the
Right.
gate.
Yeah.
And it's just
Yeah.
like obviously most dogs do not need it. And number two,
No.
60 to 100 on the e-collar.
That's serious.
What
That's fucking
scenario?
yeah.
I can't think of the, and I've dealt with some hardcore dogs that have put people in the ER. I can't think of a scenario where anything close to that is appropriate.
Yeah, and I mean that 60 to 100 is like that's a serious fucking shock. I mean that's if for those of you who've never used an e-collar, like I was using the e-collar on myself before I put it on Clark. I had that at a 20 and that sent like a good shock up my arm, you know. So a 60 to 100, that can't feel good at all. Like I wouldn't want to put a dog through it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and to advise owners to go home and just crank it up is
Yeah,
a
that's
bad
no.
idea.
And then we wonder why we end up with dogs who are worse after using it.
All right. I can see like I've heard you ever heard this term act of God correction with like rattlesnake
Yeah,
avoidance. A lot of
yeah.
those training approaches don't want the dog to see you as the source of the correction. Where I want them to see me as all the source of all the
It
corrections.
exactly. So I see. I didn't know that. I didn't know that that's what they had advised, where they don't want you to see because
Yeah,
yeah,
that's very
every I
common.
don't
Yeah.
didn't know that. Every tool that I use, I would want the dog to know that it's coming from me, no matter what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
You know,
Even
and
with the
that's
rattlesnake situation.
right.
I don't want you to fool with the rattlesnake. Whether I have to convince you those are all mine and stay away from them or whatever. But an an act of God correction. If I'm detailing my car in the front yard and they're in the backyard doing something they're not supposed to be doing, and if from over the house,
Right. They're gonna know.
that's a remote correction or
Right.
intervention. But
They're gonna
you don't
know.
need e-collars for that. You just need to go through the motions.
Right.
You just
And
got to
that's
do
why it should
the groundwork.
yeah, that's why it should always be tied to you so that you can reach that point where you just verbalize something and they're like, "Oh, I shouldn't do that." You know, you don't have to.
And why? Why did they feel like I heard that sound? I better discontinue. Why are they doing that? Because they know the next move is something they won't like.
There's
That's
yeah,
just
there's a
a it's
consequence.
just a conversation. Yeah.
Right.
But once you've established that, everything is pretty easy with most dogs. And with
Absolutely.
Prince and Millie, especially Prince, walking behind me, people ask me all the time, how did I get this guy who was a level 5 on the bite scale? He was uninterruptible red zone. How do you get walk behind me 5 feet for a month and you're done? Not even a month. It was probably like 2 weeks. But he walked behind me and we didn't have any problems past that first weekend.
I love it when that
Yeah.
happens. You know, there's something, you know, you get this it's like you're in sync with the dog when you walk and the dog kind of falls back and is walking behind you. There's just something I love it. You hit this rhythm and it's like everything just clicks and it's so it's almost like you're walking in unison, you know, and it's something you feel and it's hard to really communicate it to people until they feel it with their dog where they hit
Mhm.
that rhythm and things sync up and now they're like and I always ask them like how does that feel and they're always like man it feels great like yeah it does it feels great when you're walking your dog and you're connected on this level where it's like you said you're in tandem with one another and it's like I said it's something you just can't really describe until you feel it you know but you
And once you
know it.
get owners, once you get them in that frequency, you almost change the whole. You can change. This is why I do dog walk rehab. Because if you
Hmm.
can just accomplish that, what you just said, that connection, that chemistry through the leash,
Hmm. Yep.
everything is so easy. If you have dog on dog issues, now you can say, now from this state of mind, this is how I want you to look at a dog
Hmm.
or a person or the trash truck. because we've done this on the leash. I made you feel the leash is associated with a certain emotional
Hmm.
feeling.
And it
Then
becomes so
everything
much
is
easier. Yeah, you've created a certain state of mind in that dog where now you can influence them so much easier.
in
And
any situation.
any situation, yeah. Because now it's like I said, to me it's about building respect. And so that dog sees you as the strong leader that it's looking for. And so now it's going to be much more receptive to you saying something that you don't like, and that dog's gonna be like, "Oh, okay, I got it. I won't do that."
This is why when people go adopt a dog or whatever, they take them home and they open the front door and they say, "Look at your new, this is where you live now," and there's cookies and kisses. Where you should really pull up in the driveway, take the dog on a long walk around the
Take the dog for a
neighborhood,
walk. Yep.
drain their energy, establish who you are, invite them into the house with a certain state of mind. Now everything you're associated with a certain emotional connection, and now the environment is associated with a certain
Yes.
emotional connection, and everything is so easy from there. But the hardest part is getting people out of the selfish dopamine hits,
Right.
satisfying their own addictions
Yeah.
through the dog or whatever else. And it is
When
an addiction.
it can be. Yeah. No, and it's I think it comes down to the motivations behind like if you ask somebody if you're going to adopt a dog, like why are you adopting this dog? And if it's for the wrong motivations, then I think it will lead people. It's one component of why people go down these bad roads of the love and affection and cookies and kisses, and because it's very self-serving rather than how do I meet the needs
Mhm.
of this animal? What's best for the dog? And because I did that for two of the three of my dogs that I adopted was the first thing we did when I brought them home was we went for a long walk. And I wanted to establish that right away, and then we go home. And then I establish what are the rules of the home and who's in charge of what. And
That's
like when I first,
perceived as bad for
you're
some
right.
reason now,
I
and that's
don't
the
know
problem.
why. you know, it's like when I first brought Goose home, she wasn't allowed on the beanbag chair. She wasn't allowed on the couch. She
Oh,
wasn't
you
allowed.
monster!
Oh, I
You're
know
such
so
a
bad.
monster.
I know I'm so bad. I went out to eat that night. I put her in a crate because I had didn't trust her yet. I wasn't sure. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, she had to earn, all these privileges she's got now. She had to earn this shit. And now she's got free reign, but we don't have any problems. She can be on the bed or the couch or the beanbag chair or off leash. We don't have
And
to,
this is
we
what
don't have
people
there's no conflict.
they're confused when Brandon says just stick to what you don't like. He's not saying never give affection or never
Right,
play. He's just
right.
saying if you have behavioral issues, you might want to start with
Yeah,
simplifying the equation and staying more neutral unless
right.
you're disagreeing. Then you
Yes.
can ease into the dog in the bed, tug of
Hmm.
war, chase, ball, whatever. You can do all those things. I do all those things with mine. And you do those things with
Yeah,
Goose.
yeah.
But you've established the order.
There's a foundation we build first, and then everything else comes from it. I give Goose so much affection every day. She literally, like, when I fall asleep on the couch, she's literally laying on my chest, like she's literally on top of me. But and I don't have a problem with that because, like I said, we don't have conflict, and so it doesn't lead to problems. But she gets nothing but love and affection because she's just so damn good every day.
And they want
Real
to get
quick
it
though,
right. They want to be in good
sh- sh-
standings.
absolutely right, right, because they admire you and they respect you and they see you in a certain way and they want to please you. That's the willing follower part. But Shelly's she's in a different time zone. But yeah, Shelly, I'm gonna make this public. So if you got to go, if you got to go to bed or something, then feel free to dip out. But I will make this public. So you come back and revisit if you need to later. Anyway, I didn't mean to cut you
And,
off, Travis. You go ahead, man.
and you can feel free to ask any of these questions that might be in the comments.
Oh, sure. Yeah, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, if there's any you see you want to answer, Travis, go ahead.
Well, the one about the service dog, actually, I just heard something today. They asked service dog trainer um, something about it boiled down to 95% revolves around genetics. So most dogs are not genetically ideal for service dog work, that takes a very special type of dog. The type of dog who I don't condone it, but kids pull the dog's tail, and there are dogs who it doesn't matter what happens,
Yeah,
they're not gonna become aggressive.
yeah,
Where
yeah.
that's not really common.
Right,
So it does take a special type of dog to be a service dog. But it depends on what type of um what type of service dog you're talking about,
right.
because there
Yeah.
are a
What
lot
do
of different
you
types.
definitely?
Yeah.
What do you want
A
that dog
police
to do?
dog
No,
is a service dog. A back of the
are they?
that's a front of the pack service dog. A back of the pack service dog would be like seizure alert, because they're so sensitive they can detect a seizure. Dogs who visit kids or people in the hospital will be more middle of the pack, happy go lucky. But those are all a special type of predisposition.
That's interesting. I never thought of it that way. That's a really interesting way to break it down.
Caesar broke that
Um,
down the other day, so I just
did he? Oh, that's cool. I'll have to. Now the new show he's got, is that on his main channel, the Caesar Millen channel, or is that a different channel?
no, it is all on his stuff, but it's on Amazon Prime. Better Human, Better
Oh,
Planet.
okay. Oh, okay. I
It's
got Prime. Yeah, I'll check it out.
there's
I didn't know
probably
it was on there.
nothing. There's nobody out that has content like that. So
I
I don't
did
know
not know it
how.
was on Prime. I'll have to go watch it.
Oh, it's a really good show. It's I've been in tears a few times because these people
Yeah.
have it's so hard on people. They can you imagine getting a dog and it becoming a nightmare for your family, and
Right.
you have kids who have fallen in love with this dog, and
Right.
you're scared to death you're gonna have to rehome or euthanize.
Hmm.
It's hard because people
Right.
have trauma behind that stuff, and that's
Yeah.
what the show is mostly about.
Okay. I'll have to watch because like I said, I got Prime. I'll have to watch that. What did
But
you
it's all
think, by the
free.
way?
It's also free on YouTube. So if people look on his
Oh,
channel,
is it?
it's all free.
Okay. Awesome. What did you think about that one? Because I know had David had said like his biggest not complaint, but his biggest criticism of say like Dog Whisperer is would be at the end of the show when they're checking up and they're giving you an update, and the people are saying like, well, we've got new tools in our bag, but we're still working on it. Like
Well,
what's your opinion on that?
I think it's a bit of a stretch. I think he wants that to be true, and he concluded that that's the takeaway after Caesar came to visit. But my reply to that was, I don't think that the intention was he's going to show up and fix all your problems. These
Right.
are an inside glimpse into what intervention with behavioral issues looks like. And here are some strategies you can use to try to work through this, because his fundamentals, his formulas, he's not going to fix your problem. He's giving you the tools
Right.
to catch your own fish. I'm not going to catch
Right.
the fish for you. I'm teaching you to catch your own fish. So there's not a real conclusion in the same way his board and train or my home visit would. It's not the same approach. And
No,
I
it's
don't think it
not.
was intended to be that. But I don't
Hmm.
think there was enough evidence to prove that there weren't results
Right.
one way or another, long-term results. And who really knows that? I don't think there are any trainers that can say the majority of my clients live happily ever after. I think that's a guess.
I agree.
And
Yeah, I have clients that I've become friends with that I stay in touch with. And so like Petunia or Grizzy or Cooper, and, so I have a handful of clients where I can provide, you know, updates that are long after the work we did to be able to show like, hey, they're still doing great. And they haven't needed me
right.
in many, like a long, long time. But yeah, the majority of the people I work with, I don't stay in touch with, so I don't know.
And I'm not gonna call them every year and say, well, how are things now? How about now?
Right,
Well, how
right.
about now?
Yeah,
If you reach out because you need help, I'm there for you.
sure.
But otherwise, I'm gonna assume no news is good news to
Right,
some degree. But like I also mentioned to David, I don't think it's a fair criteria. Who's the GOAT? Well, you've been in the game for 20 plus years. You work with aggression. You show your work. You give it all away for free. but he wanted to add, but your track record of long-term success isn't there. Well, I don't think that's fair because that puts a standard on the trainer who doesn't have uh, that they that's the
The
trainer can't
trainer,
guarantee that.
yeah, and the
They can
trainer doesn't
guarantee
live
those
with the
other
dog.
things. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
an unfair criteria to me.
right. Yeah, and because I remember this part now that you're mentioning it, where it's like, I know David was saying that some of the responsibility falls on us because if we're doing a bad job, say leading the human, then any kind of struggles for long-term results do sort of fall on us. But at the same time, I can't force people to do things. You know, I don't live with the dog. I don't live with the family. The best I can do is show them the way, and they're either going to adopt things and implement things consistently or they're not. And that's really, I take as much responsibility as I possibly can, but at the end of the day, it does fall on the owner to kind of redo or change the way that they interact with their dog on a day-to-day basis, and I can't do that for them, you know.
No, and they try to say like I hear this a lot. It's not about dogs. You actually have to be like a human's you have to be a master at human psychology. Well, I think I am in a lot of ways, but that's an awful lot of pressure to put on a trainer. You have to know
Oh yeah,
dogs on this level where you can influence them to be who we need them to be, but you also have to wear all these other hats to unpack all this drama or this trauma from humans. That's kind of
it's
that's
a
a
tall
tall
order.
order.
It's a
That's a
tall
real
order.
tall order. And if you
Yeah,
can do it, then that separates you from the average, but that's asking a lot. And I've
yeah,
been in the homes where it's very uncomfortable.
yeah,
I stay the course, but it is very uncomfortable. You can feel the instability in the equation.
yeah, yeah.
And what are you really gonna do for that?
Right, right. What can I
I had
do
a
for that?
I
You
had a
know?
client the other day. The dog was trying to kill all the other dogs in the house. It was a shepherd, and she had like three kids running around. The TV was on. It was just chaos, and I had to ask her, "Do you need me to make you feel a little more comfortable with this difficult decision? Because it's not gonna work."
It's what gonna work. Yeah, yeah.
The dog's in, and I told her, "Don't let this dog around your dogs without a muzzle." And she messaged me about a month ago. The other little dog's in the ER right now. I don't think he's gonna make it. Well, I told you,
Right,
there's nothing
right.
I'm gonna be able to do to undo all that chaos.
Yeah. No.
It's
And
just not gonna work.
you're talking about adults at the end of the day too. It's like they like you can do your best to help them understand it and see it, but you're talking about, adults who have the freedom to make their own choice. They can choose to accept or reject,
And this is
and
why
it's
board and trains won't work.
right.
They work in some cases, but they're
Yeah.
not ideal because of that. For that reason, right there, you
It's not a
can't.
long-term solution.
No, you have to reach them, and they have to be willing and able to change.
Right.
Get it how you live. That's what I have on the front of my shirts. Get it how you live. You get the dog you want based on how you live. This is a
Right.
lifestyle.
Yeah.
Some dogs are easy and they'll fit right into your lifestyle. But people
Yep.
who call us for problems, you need to change your lifestyle if you want this to work. But most people aren't going to do that.
No. No.
They're
Or
just
they're
not.
willing,
But they're not
but
able.
it's just, yeah, it's just really hard. It's really fucking hard, you know.
Yeah, and I'll give people props all day. If you're willing and you just can't do it,
Yeah.
hey, you tried,
Absolutely.
and I'll give you your credit because a lot of people would have
Absolutely.
given up a long time ago. But you gotta be
Absolutely.
realistic, and I'm those are the hardest cases when I go and I know it's not gonna work. And rehoming in Houston is not really an option because there's strays everywhere.
Oh,
So
I didn't know that.
just finding a new home. This Houston and LA are ground zero because the dogs survive the winters. So
Man, I
there's
didn't know
strays
that. So this
everywhere.
that's crazy. I did not know that.
Pre-COVID, there were about 2 million stray dogs and cats. That was
In
pre-COVID,
Houston?
and yeah, surrounding
Holy
counties. Yeah.
no
So
shit.
It's every day, all day around here. There's no rehoming, especially once you say there are
Wow.
aggression issues. No one's gonna get that dog.
Right, right.
So
That's
sometimes
why.
euthanasia.
So what's your opinion, Travis? Because I have maybe what some might consider a controversial opinion about, say, the shelters, where, and it's not like I enjoy saying it, but
I
if
already know where
we,
you're going. This so fluffy talk
yeah,
from shelters.
yeah, you probably already know where I'm going. It's so we already have an overpopulation problem in the shelters, and if there are a certain percentage of those dogs that have serious issues or are going to be very difficult for the average family to take on, would it not be the best course to just euthanize those dogs and give the dogs who are more well adjusted a better chance at
Yeah,
success? You know
yeah.
what I mean? And I
That
know
whole
people hate
saying,
hearing that, and but it's like, but the overcrowding is just going to get worse. And so if we keep playing the feelings game of, "Well, we gotta save them all because it feels
save them
good," it's
all.
like,
I used to be like
yeah,
that.
but yeah. When I was
I
younger, I
used
kind
to
of had
believe
that
that. I used to
mentality too.
believe, oh,
Yeah,
you can save them all. But these two right here, if I had not, or somebody like me who had enough skill, I would not have recommended these two for anybody.
yeah,
That's a tragedy waiting to happen.
right.
And and I got them partly.
Uh-oh. Oop.
Uh,
I think we Can you hear me, Travis?
yeah, I just don't see
Yeah,
you.
I think you don't see me.
No,
The connection. I don't know what happened to the connection. Can you see me now?
nope. But it still
Damn,
says
man.
live on the.
Yeah. Can
Everything's the same, but I don't see you.
anybody in the audience see me? Because I can see you. I can see me. Uh,
I can't see you. I don't think
damn.
I hit anything.
No, I think the connection just got interrupted there.
Well,
Okay.
as
Yeah.
long as people can see
Yeah.
both,
They
then
they, they say they can see and hear.
okay,
Okay.
okay.
Cool. Yeah. Sorry about that, man.
No,
But
it's all right. But I wanted
but
to
you
get
were.
them so I can tell people this is 24 hours. This is constant making sure things are where they're supposed to be with these two because it's not like I have to manage every moment with them, but if they misunderstand something, and Brandon talks about this, the majority of bites are going to come from a misunderstanding of intentions. So
Hmm.
if there's some sudden sound that spooks Prince, well, there's only so much you can plan for that.
Right. Right. And you being the experienced person in that equation, it's like you know how to handle that, but the average person isn't gonna know how to navigate that sort of thing.
It is exhausting reading the body language all the time. How does he feel now? How about now? Well, how about in this situation? How does he feel? Because my mom stepped on his foot one day and he tagged her right between the eyes.
Ooh, ooh,
But she
ooh,
stepped on him and then tried to comfort him. Uh,
ooh, yeah.
and she reached down right after she stepped on him. She reached down to pet him to tell him, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on you." And he misinterpreted that and he tagged her right between the eyes. He didn't leave a mark, but all it takes is a misunderstanding, and
Right.
people get these certain type of dogs who will use aggression to solve problems. It's
Absolutely.
in,
They've learned
it's
that
just in their, yeah. It's either genetic or they've learned it, or
absolutely.
both.
Right.
Some dogs are just more genetically willing to go there.
Yeah, I've
It's just,
say that I've most of the dogs I encounter that have aggression, it's a learned thing, but there are those that
yeah,
are just, yeah,
I'd say it's rare to be genetic, but
right.
it's like people. I know a serial killer. I asked him one time. He's probably killed about 50 to 100 people.
Jesus Christ.
Uh, and I asked him, "Do you think it's genetics? Are you genetically like that, or did you learn to be like that?" He said it's genetics.
Did he
And this
did he see
person,
you?
this person has never done drugs or alcohol in his life. He did all of it sober.
That's fucking wild.
Well, he,
What did he have like a did he have a pattern? Was it like he killed people in the same way, or was it just like
it was all New Orleans street beef stuff. It was all
oh,
like,
okay.
if you know the record label Cash Money Records, he was the
Yeah.
hitman.
Oh, no shit. Wow.
So
Okay.
he was the one who they sent to go knock off opposition. But
Wow.
genetically, that's who he was genetically, and he told me that.
He was the right guy for the job. Let's put it that way. He was built for
Yeah.
it, you
So
would
there are
say.
dogs like that who are just built for that.
They're built for it.
They're
Yep.
they're just that dog,
Right. It's
and
like
they
James
end up in
James
homes.
yeah, I know. I know. I've met a couple of like serious dogs like that, and it could be a little intimidating sometimes, especially if it's like a pit bull.
Yeah, but look at
And
the like.
you know,
Oh, go ahead.
oh no, I was just gonna say because James was saying he was just responding to what I was saying about the shelters, but he was saying they're creating an excess of unwanted dogs. It's just like this the shelter system combined with the culture. You know, most of the dogs that come out of the shelter have some kind of issue, and you have the people that work at the shelters that will kick you out, if you correct the dog or tell the dog no, or it's like we're just making this problem worse. you know
Yeah, I'm lucky. I found a rescue who is on board with all this stuff. Now, this is my other beef with the balance trainers who, oh, they won't let us in the shelters because they're not on board with the tools. Well, that sounds like you need to make an adjustment then. But this rescue, I don't use shocker or e-collars or prong collars, but I do correct dogs, and they're on board with
right.
it
Oh, good,
because
good, good.
yeah, and I've
I
been with
think
them for probably five years or so.
it's like you said in your discussion with David. I think you said that they'll let you step in, and even something as simple as just getting the dog to walk good on the leash can make them a lot more rehomable.
Oh my God, that's the realization I found at that shelter because they had a lot of dogs who female handler only, and this is crap. And I noticed as soon as I get the leash, establish basic, because I used to hate all the pulling, all the
Yeah,
hacking. I
yeah,
used to hate that crap. So I would
yeah.
work on the leash stuff, and then I noticed how much more adoptable they became after simple leash work.
It's
Then
amazing how
that's
it's the I always say the littlest details can make the biggest difference. It's usually the
yeah.
smallest shit that
And I
ends up.
think David is coming to that conclusion that less is more.
Hmm.
Simplify the process because it's actually if you simplify it and you're good at those simple things, it's much more powerful than
Absolutely.
overcomplicating. You're still dealing with a dog who has a mental capacity of a 2 year old.
Right,
And all this complicated, like Brandon talks about giving a dog a treat. You ask them to stop being reactive and sit down, and here's a treat. That's too much going on.
right. Let's simplify it. It's not.
Simple. Yeah.
And that's the thing that frustrates me about training is, to me, it is overcomplicating things, and it's putting all the focus on how do I get this dog to respond using a treat or a tool versus how do I need to interact with this dog to get it to listen to me. Those are, to me, those are two very different things.
Yeah, because if you're, I can't tell you, Millie uses an e-collar for off leash. Just in case she doesn't listen to come here, I can vibrate, and that's all it
Hmm.
takes. But we didn't have to, I have to be the tool
Right.
because there have been several times where it wasn't charged up or I couldn't find it. Like right now, I don't even know where it is. So I got to go find it and charge it up or else you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
right now, I can let her out. I can let her off leash right now. In fact, I'm going to do it right now. But
All right.
you don't
Cool.
need, you don't need any of that kind of stuff. Naked,
Hell
naked,
yeah.
naked.
Oh yeah, we got Prince out there too. All right.
Yeah. But if I had to go find the collar and go charge it up, then we just can't have any fun because, you know what I mean?
Right. You got to rely on it now.
Yeah. But if
It's
it's
like
time to
it's
go,
like they say it's the insurance policy.
yeah, and I'm all for an insurance policy, but we didn't use them to get to this point. I
Right.
was the tool. I have to be seen as the tool.
Exactly. Shelly
But
Shelly's asking, is Millie a Kelpie?
Kelpie, we did a DNA test. She's 56% Kelpie, 25% American Pit Bull Terrier.
Oh, no shit. Kelpie and Terrier. Holy shit.
Yeah, Prince is
That
a
is a wild mix.
yeah. Prince is a hanging tree cow dog, which is Catahoula, Kelpie, Border Collie, Australian Shepherd mix.
Yeah, he's an interesting hodgepodge.
Jump.
He looks like multiple dogs and it rolled into one.
Yeah, he is. But yeah, it. I don't want to flex my dogs real quick.
No, that's awesome, Travis. That's awesome. And
And you know,
it's really that simple though. Is you like you said, you're the tool. And I've even said that to clients in the past, where I actually showed up to this woman's house and she was trying to get me to help her with her barking Yorkie. The dog would just lose its mind every time you walked out the door.
hmm
And I was trying to figure out, what is the root of this issue with it? Because she had just adopted this dog. And, I show up and we're working through things and she starts to object and she says, well, wait a minute, my sister called a trainer and he showed up with all these tools. She's like, "Where's your tools?" And I said, we're the tool. Like I don't do what these other people do. And she wanted to cut the session early, and I was like, "No, yeah, that's fine. That's your choice." But then I'm thinking, well, if the trainer your sister hired was so great, then why didn't you call him? Why did you have me come over? You know what I mean? So some people, it's really hard to get them to understand that. And
and that's the problem I have with these trainers. They're influencing regular dog owners because when they have problems, they go on YouTube and or Google and they search, well, how do I fix my problem? And then they run into these people who tell you cookies and remote collars are going to fix your
right,
problem.
right,
And then they get confused even more. Now they're more confused than they were before.
right, and then they put the onus on the dog. Like we
Yeah.
blame the dog. There's something wrong with the dog rather than what am I doing wrong or what do I need to do differently to
hmm
establish a different dynamic with this dog, and that's always left out of the conversation, it seems. Because if it's just about learning, then that won't ever be a factor, right? Because it's just about we just have to teach the dog how to do it right, rather than no, the dog doesn't see you the right way. How do we fix that? How do we fix how the dog perceives you? That's the problem, you know?
And can
And
accept corrections from you and accept it.
right,
Surrender, accept, not just comply, but
right. Yeah, it was the difference between compliance and submission, and that's
mhm.
something you and David had were talking about, and he didn't because he kept saying it seemed like he sees them both as the same thing. Like if a dog complies, then they are submitting. But to me,
Mm.
they're two very different things, you
Well,
know?
like I told them, not necessarily. They could be submitting, but they may not. They may not be.
Right. No, and I know what
They
you
must.
mean is
They
you're
could just be
saying,
going through the motions for
yeah,
by at gunpoint, or what am I going to get out of this?
right,
That's
right. And
not
that's
really what.
that's no, that to me that's not true submission. That's not a
No, that's not
willing
a
follower.
no.
And that's
And it's the
that's what
same
I
thing
want to
I've done with
create.
I've done with kids. How do I get them to not fight on the playground and cooperate with the rules of the group? I threaten them to some degree, but I make them feel a certain way about me where they want to do it.
Right. Exactly. They have such a level of respect and admiration for you that they want to please, they want to do for you, they want to follow the rules, they want to show respect. Those are two very different attitudes rather than a kid who just follows the rules because he doesn't feel like going to detention or something or whatever. It's like um I don't know
And
how.
I was that kid,
Oh, go ahead.
by the way. I was
Where
that
you,
kid.
yeah.
Oppositionally defined. If you don't make me believe it that there's trust, respect there, I'm not doing it. I don't care who it is. I'm not doing it.
Right, and this is something else that I wish I had brought up, but because from the balanced trainer's perspective, they're trying to say that, well, you build respect, say, through consequence, or the punishment is what will get the dog to respect you when you say not to do something. But if we look at it, say, like the lens of the human world, respect is far more, there's a lot more involved than just um, something like that, where it's not just the system of reward and punishment. Because if we look at it, say, through the strength of someone's character, where if you demonstrate to me that you don't follow through on your word, or maybe you lie, or maybe you cheat, then you're
Yeah.
showing a weakness of character that's not I'm not gonna respect you as a man, a woman, whatever, if you demonstrate those qualities. And so, but that has nothing to do with reward and punishment. That has to do with who are you? Well, what is your character like? And so if we just take that same thinking and apply it to the dog's trying to understand, who are you? What is your character? And that's the foundation we build, you
And for the
know?
dog, it's a matter of survival.
Right,
For survival reasons, I need to know I'm safe with you, and you can lead me to resources and keep me keep the pack safe.
right. I think it's because for them it's instinctual. They um it's not like it's a life or death kind of survival, but for them as an animal, on an instinctual level, I think that survival component does play a role. It's like, if it's kind of hardwired into them, where they don't know any different. It's just the way
Yeah,
they're built.
it's, it's like Brandon says. They're not looking to be the. They're not in pursuit of being a good dog. They're in pursuit of hierarchy, life, death, submission, dominance. That's
Right,
all they think about all day because
right.
that's how they're wired. And if you're not speaking that language, you might as well be speaking a foreign language to them. And we
Yeah,
wonder why they don't quite get it. Well, because you're speaking at a whole different language.
right. Yeah, I sometimes and I don't know if it's maybe hard for people to do this, but I like to imagine that I'm seeing the world through the eyes of a dog, where I don't understand the language the humans speaking. I don't understand the world that they've brought me into. All I know is, what energy are you bringing to the table, and where do like, where's the line here that I cannot cross. And I'm looking for those. It's like Brandon says, the dogs will look for the danger first to understand, where do I go for safety. So if the dog can't figure that out because I'm not bringing that to the table, then it's going to be very hard for them to create. You're not going to create certainty in that dog's mind. There won't
No,
be a clear world for that dog to live in.
and you might end up emboldening a dog to be a problem. So when he talks
Right,
about if you're walking your dog and you encounter a stray, the stray is gonna probably cross the street to avoid you because
right,
they feel like prey. Whereas
right.
people's dogs, if you're walking your dog and their dog escapes from their house, you got a problem because you're more likely to have a problem because that dog sees the world as they're the predator, the world is prey.
I know that
So
was
if you
such I love when he said that, where yeah, it's like, if you are a predator existing out in, say, the Serengeti, the world is the predator, you're the prey, but
yes,
our dogs, because of the way we do things, the dog now sees themselves as the predator and the world as prey, and
hmm
then we wonder why we have all these all these problems,
yeah, and
you
all you
know?
have to do is leave the gate, forget to latch the gate, and now you remember what wild really looks like
Right,
because
right,
they're emboldened to be predators.
right.
Where how do you control a predator? Make them feel a little bit like
Make
prey.
a little bit like prey, right? You got to show them the
So,
danger.
hmm and they're more balanced because of it. But if same with kids, there are pitfalls in the world, and if we don't prepare them for it, they will crash.
Oh, absolutely. and they'll crash probably 10 times harder down the road than if we had established things the right way, at an earlier age. Um, but of course, there's only so much of that you can do. Your kid reaches a certain age and they're going to go make their mistakes, and they're going to make choices that you may not approve of, but
They
at
have
least
to
that's
go
how,
through those.
yeah, they got
They
to
have to
go
go
through
through
it.
it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Same with dogs. You have to let them crash a little bit so you can say, well, don't do that. Figure something else out, and then they'll
Yeah.
come to a different conclusion. So I don't even give dogs all the answers. Even if I could, you could do that with a
Hmm.
child. You can explain it to a child, but a dog, I just want to say I don't like that. Figure something else out, and they'll usually figure out a different way.
Yeah, it's like
To
natural
me,
consequences. Through natural consequence, they'll understand. But this is where you kind of get into like I don't disagree with guys like Robert Hine where he talks about like let the dog operantly condition itself. I agree with that only in certain contexts, but not to the point where we're letting the dog just make any decision, that it feels like, because then that can lead the dog into getting into a lot of trouble, you know. But say if a dog's scared and I'm still there with the dog, yeah, I'm gonna give that dog a minute to kind of assess the situation and figure things out and understand like, man, there ain't nothing really to be worried about here. Um,
well, I think the problem with the training world, this is what they're doing. The amygdala has an input emotion and an output emotion. So I feel fearful, my output is fight or flight or whatever. So they're trying to address the input to change the output. I address the output to change the input. So if you're leash reactive because you're fearful when you see a dog and you choose fight, I'm not making you feel less fearful to make you not react. I'm blocking the reaction to
right,
change the input.
right.
And
So
I don't,
go into detail about that, Travis. Like what? So because I know you leash work is that's your thing, So um, what's the process you use? Like what's your philosophy with the leash? How do you approach that?
well, kind of like if you can imagine a toy boat on dental floss, and if you were wading through 2 inch high water and you were changing
Yeah.
directions randomly, how smoothly would that boat follow you? Well, the
Okay.
only difference would be the dog. I'm not looking for any pressure from the leash to make it turn directions like the boat. I'm just looking for the dog to read my feet and move with my feet, to be in tune with my verbal cue or the leash cue or the my feet. Um, but they should be following. They should be mirroring me because they can't do both. They can't serve the. It's like people trying to text in a school zone. You can think you can do both safely, but you really can't. So I'm forcing the dog to choose the environment or me, basically. So
Okay.
I'm either giving direction or correction. So if I apply slight leash pressure, they have to give in to the pressure to turn it off. So that's giving direction. But if I turn directions and they don't turn with me, I may give a little light correction until they're dialed into. That's a Dale word, dialed in. Till they're dialed into what I'm doing as opposed to what their brain is telling them to do. So even if a dog is in flight, I'll block flight. Even if if they see somebody in the environment and they choose flight, not it's
Right.
not a choice, but I would block the flight. I wouldn't make them feel better about the person. I would block the
Yeah.
flight and I would say flight is not an option now. Choose something else because you can fight, flight, avoid, or surrender.
Right.
So then they'll choose avoidance probably next, and then if we stay the course, eventually they'll surrender. So I had a greyhound. She would that neighbor approached us while we were walking and she said, "Oh, I've been wanting a pet princess for 5 years, but she won't let me give her a treat or anything." And I said, "Oh, really?" And I made her go towards the lady with the leash pressure. And then I saw the lady the next day and she said, "Now every time I see her, she's all about the treats and wants pets every time." But I had to block the flight and
Right.
force her through the leash to overcome her insecurities so that she could realize it wasn't what she thought.
So
But a lot of
you're
that lives
so
in the amygdala. That's where it all lives.
yeah, because I would do the same thing where yeah, if the dog tries to take off, I would prevent that. The mistake I think a lot of people make, and you would probably agree with me, is say if a dog's resistant or maybe trying to engage in flight, people aren't patient enough to they'll like try to drag the dog through it, and that just creates more resistance. The dog's going to try to flight harder rather
Hmm.
than I just need to, it's there's just a process of going about it where I need to figure out what's going to work with this dog to get them to kind of break free, move in the other direction, and how do I prompt them to move forward rather than because I can't drag the dog through it. It's not gonna the dog's not willingly following at that point. And so, but
Yeah.
you're working them through a process to get them to willingly surrender to the thing that they're running away from.
Which requires pre-work before that moment, because Princess and I had already done this for years prior to this moment, so she already knows before this moment, if I give leash pressure, give into it. Don't negotiate with
Okay,
it, just give into it. So by the time we had that moment, the leash pressure given by me automatically represented surrender to it,
she already
to
knows
her.
what that means. I
She
got you.
already knew. But if I'd have just tried that in that moment, then yes, it would
Yeah.
she would have put on the brakes.
Okay,
So yeah, it
that makes
requires
sense.
pre-work. But if anyone wants to know where I got it all from, Buck the Horse Whisperer, if you look up Buck the documentary, Buck
I
the
think
Horse
you sent me
Whisperer,
that. I think you sent me
yeah,
that documentary.
I probably have a while ago. But if you look at like the 20-minute mark, he does a clinic where he's talking about operating on a field with a leash, with the long line with the horse,
Hmm.
and it's so subtle. He's even just barely adding pressure with his pinky,
Yep.
barely, and he wants the dog or the horse to give in to even just the slightest whisper
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
pressure. So subtle, so sensitive to the slightest cues that it's you don't have to have that physical power struggle because
Right.
that's only going to work against you,
Yeah.
like with like a dog like that. But the
That I
least,
really like. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, I mean, but the least is just to say you're probably insecure one way or another about your behavioral issues. So I'm just saying let go of what your brain is telling you and do what I'm asking you through the leash. So I mean,
And that would require the dog to have some level of trust, right? Whether you're
yeah, and heel means nothing. So I don't need a
right.
dog to be next to me in a heel. I just need them to be aware of me where
Right.
they can see me. So if I stop, they know I stopped and they can stop. So these dogs, if I walk even at this pace, if I stop on a dime, they stop on a dime because they're that in tune with me, but they're also looking at the environment, but they're prepared because I used to have these two at a downtown apartment in Houston, two bite cases with 10 bites probably combined. And you can't walk through the hallways or get off elevators if you don't have an understanding. And we
Yeah,
didn't
and
have
that
issues in three
that,
years.
that's that's why I always make this distinction between um once you build that certain relationship dynamic with the dog, you don't need the training, all the heel, the sit, the stake, none of it becomes obsolete. Like you don't need it. So you don't need to teach Millie and Prince heel and sit and all that because if you go about things in a different way, none of that becomes necessary anymore. You don't even have to go down that road.
No, and my whole point is to simplify this not for me but for the owners.
Right.
They're not going to be able to do all this complicated stuff trainers try to get. It's too complicated.
Yeah.
So that's
And
why I
it's very
just
time consuming.
do. Yeah, very much. Where if I just say just do the leash, just focus on the leash, then transplant that to other areas, they can do
I
that.
got you. Okay.
Yeah.
I like
And
that.
I wasn't gonna mention any names, but I don't deal with certain trainers who badmouth Caesar. I'm sure he has some nice things. I'm sure Chad has some nice things to say, but these people are sneak dissing Caesar every chance they get, and I get real tired of it. He's one of them, and these guys talk real crazy in these Facebook groups, and that's one of my beefs with trainers. Real nasty,
Yeah, I've
and they talk.
encountered that.
Man, these guys. I don't deal with most of them. I'm sure he has some great things to say, and he's actually very smart. But I
Yeah.
don't like that sneak diss and stuff,
So,
especially.
General, I've. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Finish.
Well, no, I just especially someone who's done as much as Caesar has done in this industry to badmouth him. He's not perfect.
Right.
He's made
Nobody's
mistakes,
perfect.
but if you've
Yeah.
exposed yourself that much, you're gonna have mistakes. But I
Sure.
don't tolerate all that bad mouthing stuff unless you've
No.
earned it,
So,
like certain people.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, right. That's my style. I'll get nasty with you if you've earned that, but I don't start there, you know. But General, you're saying so. I've heard of Chad Macklin. I don't quite know who he is, but um, you saying it's on his channel, General? This he's talking about the futility of dominance versus relationship. I'd be interested in listening to that.
Yeah, and I'll probably watch
Um,
it.
and then General, you also was talking, yeah, because I think you sent me an email about this, right, General? Where you're saying you said Merkle Canine is looping the Skinner behavioral framework while I'm writing the cognitive and ethological framework. Not, we're definitely not on the same ship, that's for sure. Um, I guess if I am on the cognitive and ethological framework, I don't know it. If I mean, maybe that's like a psychological term, or you'll have to let me know, General, what that is specifically. Or at least I know what you're getting at when you say cognitive and ethological framework. I guess I just don't know where it comes from.
I don't. Maybe maybe you can explain it. I don't
Well,
know
I think
what
he's
that means.
yeah, I think so. So the cognitive side, where we're talking about like hormone therapy or tapping into that dog's emotional brain rather than,
Yeah,
that would be
limbic
more of a,
system.
yeah, that'd be
It's
more
all
of a,
limbic system.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
Oh, okay.
ethological framework is more like the study of ethology. Correct me if I'm wrong,
Hmm.
General, but that's more um like
How
an
dogs live.
ethologist, yeah, studying how they act in their natural environments and how they
Yeah.
interact with one another, so to speak. Which I wouldn't disagree with that. That's to me that would be the best way to
Yeah.
learn about dogs is to just study them, watch what they do with each other.
Oh, I've learned so much about dogs watching Brandon's videos, putting dogs together, and I just watch the body language.
Oh, dude, yeah. I've
I'll
spent
watch that.
hours
Yeah. There are
watching the same
videos.
videos too. Do you have particular videos that you really like that you've watched so many? Like I have these kind of
Uh,
5 videos that I just jump around
mhm.
from, and
There
I
are a
watch
few.
them so many times.
Claiming the environment with Brandon and Ariel.
Okay, I've seen that one.
There's, man, I've watched it 100 times at least, and I used to stop it and record, rewind it, and take notes. And it's kind of like a chess game. He moves, the dog moves. The dog moves, then he moves. He
Right.
moves, the dog moves. And
Yep.
it's a very complicated conversation said
Yep.
without saying almost anything.
Absolutely.
So like that one, and like the spirit of the dog, what is love? Uh, there's just so many. There are no videos like Brandon. There are
No,
none.
there's a lot of
If
classics,
anyone,
man.
if anybody knows any, shoot them to me because I've been looking for. But for 20 years, I've been looking for who has the content, and Caesar and Brandon have the content.
I know the average Brandon video is him just walking around his facility with dozens of dogs and narrating, and it's like, you know, the to me there's a lot of people in this industry who don't show enough, and you got guys like Brandon who that's all he does is show you what's going on. What is he doing in this facility? His whole body of work is just letting you in on what's going on with these dogs at this facility, and then him kind of narrating and giving insight into it. And I've learned so much just from watching. Like Who Let the Dogs Out is one of my favorite.
No, right.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that one. Or The Presence of Dominance, or the one where he's talking about what is it titled? Training. what the hell is it? Training something in the law. That's another one that I really like. Um,
Creating versus discovering with Robert is a
yeah,
really good one because
yeah, I
that's a
like that one.
strong-willed, strong-headed dog who he shows this is how you psychologically dominate a dog. So he shows his process to get Robert in tune with his program, and it's nobody's doing that that I've seen. It's not a peeing contest. It just is what it is.
Right.
If
I've
there
got
is anybody else, I want to know who they are.
some of my favorite Boucher clips that I use have Robert in them. So I
Oh, right, right, right.
yeah, because that Who Let the Dogs Out video is Robert's in that video, and I've used clips from that video so many times. But so so which interviews? Because I know there's a woman named Patricia. She did a
McConnell,
few interviews with Fouché. Like there
Patricia
was three
McConnell, yeah.
interviews. Yeah, where I really like those, but maybe are there other interviews you're talking about, Jenno, that I don't
Oh,
know about?
maybe the podcast. Those are good. There are 55 of those, and they're hour each. I've listened to all of them 3 to 5 times. Maybe that's what he's talking about.
I
But the
haven't listened to
podcasts
all
are
of them.
uh,
I've listened to a handful of them.
they're different.
Um,
They're different than his other content. He goes
yeah,
a lot more in depth. But man, people read his reviews.
right. I know. I've read his reviews. They're insane. Or there's testimonial videos people post to YouTube saying Brandon Fouché saved my dog, my life, changed my life, and I'm like, who else is posting videos talking about, somebody?
I
Uh,
mean, show me the dog who fights or has killed another dog, and you're putting them with other dogs. Show it to me.
right,
I don't want to hear about it. Show it to me.
right.
Not that he's the only one that's doing it. The guy I sent you today, Maurice from Houston,
Hmm.
that's what he does. And
Is it?
I got it. I'll give people their props. That's not my strong suit, putting dogs with other dogs, because I know what comes with that. And
Yeah,
I'm not a place in my life where I can roll the dice and take those type of risks with pack
right.
fights, because
Sure.
that's as serious as it gets. But Maurice is very good, and he's one of the few that does it. He The most advanced trainers deal with aggression and deal with aggression in groups of dogs.
Yes, I
That's
agree.
that's as high as it gets. So in a lot of ways, Maurice is better than me. Maurice Gassiot, Gray Wolf K9, YouTube Maurice.Graywolf713. So check his stuff out. There are not a lot of people that do it.
No, and I've just scratched the surface, like using Goose for that sort of thing. At most I'll have three dogs here, but doing what Brandon does, getting groups of them, I haven't gone that far with it, so that's there's levels to it, like I'm at level one when it comes to using a dog to work with other dogs, and it's like I barely scratched the surface on any of that shit, you know, but
Yeah,
it's
that's as
it's
high biggest sacrifice in the game because you're risking your personal safety.
absolutely, and my dog's safety, but I wouldn't
And
get
do
her.
you
Oh, go ahead.
uh, well, do you believe trainers who work with aggression are more advanced than trainers who don't?
Are more advanced.
More knowledgeable, more
Yeah,
skilled?
I would say, yeah, I would say yes,
Yeah, I
because
would.
here's, and it's not to toot our own horn or anything, but aggression is the highest form of communication in the animal world. So
Uh-huh.
if you can't understand how to work with that, how to understand it, how do I resolve it, then there's a whole component of how nature communicates with itself that you're not in tune with, you've never tapped into. And it requires a certain personality to be able to deal with a dog who's trying to kill them and know how do I navigate the situation in the right way. There are not many people that can do that. You know what I mean? Especially without any
Oh,
muzzles or anything like that.
yeah, he'll use a muzzle occasionally, but it's mostly all with nothing but energy, body language, and sound.
I'm gonna have to check him out then, because that's the first time I heard of him was the video you sent me today. Um,
Oh
so he's
yeah,
the pit bull guy. But um, but yeah, I would say that would be accurate. Is that people who work with aggressive? Well, I should say people who not only work with aggressive dogs but are able to solve the problem. I
and
think
I would
that would
say
be
also extreme fear cases because that's a level that's a level up. Those are the most difficult cases.
definitely
That's those are more difficult than Cujos. The fearful dogs,
the fearful dogs.
the shutdowns. Yeah,
Yeah, they are. That's like a Rubik's cube. Every time I've only worked with a few of them, but working with those dogs is like figuring out like a very complicated Rubik's cube. You know.
yeah, because you can make the wrong move and they think that you did something that they misinterpreted and
Hmm.
you were yelling at the TV, but they thought you were.
It wasn't
Yeah.
about you. Uh,
Uh-huh.
let's see, Geno, yeah, Geno. I know which ones. I know the interview you're talking about where Fouché is under the trees. I've watched those videos many, many times. Um, but yeah, two with Patricia. He's actually got, I think, four with Patricia. Um, but I've watched all of those as well. So
And
Shelly, the Pitbull guy. What's the Pitbull's guy's name again? Travis, you were just talking about.
oh, oh, Maurice, but his YouTube is Maurice dot Gray Wolf 713.
Okay,
And three of my four dogs, Prince was at his facility before I got him. So was Millie.
no shit. So is he over there? Is
And
he in Texas?
yeah, he's not far from my house. He's
Okay,
north side of Houston. Yeah,
that's really cool.
he's that's all he
You're
does is
welcome, Shelly.
shelters.
So he works with the shelters.
Yeah, he just usually like the shelter. We work with the same rescue. So if it's not a situation where it's a one-on-one in the home type of deal, and then they need extensive rehab, then they go to him.
Okay,
So I'll do the ones that can be handled without extensive rehab. He has his is extensive rehab.
okay.
Yeah.
Now, do you ever the dogs that you do have on hand, or do you have any, like, which of the dogs are actually yours, Travis, that you
Just these
um
two. The other ones are my mom's, but I'm there every day, so and
okay,
I did most of the rehab work, so I count I just count them as part of the group, you
I
know.
got you. Now, do you ever whether now or in the past, say the dogs that you've owned, do you ever say utilize them when you're rehabilitating a dog, or is it mostly just a one-on-one kind of thing?
No, I use them a lot with I'll do a board and train every now and again. And so the way Brandon does it, he introduces a dog to his dogs, and then he makes the new dog feel a certain way about Brandon based on how his
Yeah.
other dogs feel about Brandon.
Hmm.
So in that sense, I'm doing it the same way, uh, letting them interact together, just so the new one can see how the other ones react to me.
Okay.
And monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah,
You
I
know.
like that. Yeah, I like that when he talks about that, where he's saying, "I'm gonna let the dogs handle them first because it'll make my job
Yeah,
easier." You know.
yeah, and I've heard him say he won't even walk the dog for like 2 weeks. There's no leash stuff. They'll do all the building the rapport and how the dogs feel about him, and then he'll see how they feel about him on the leash. But
Okay,
he starts with the dogs. To me, that's the most powerful rehab you can do. If you have
definitely.
a balanced dog or dogs, you know.
Right, and that's where people like it, for those of you watching, not all socialization is equal. Please don't. A lot of people have this idea where if I just take my dog to the dog park or get him in a daycare and I get him around a bunch of dogs, well then that's socialization and it'll be great for my dog. No, because if your dog gets around a bunch of imbalanced dogs who don't have good social skills, then that's actually going to fuck up your dog worse than you have to get the dog around a group of well socialized, well balanced dogs.
It's
You know,
like
it's
kids in public school.
right.
They're either going to be
Right.
around the right influence or the wrong influence.
Exactly. Right.
Dog
Yeah.
parks, you know,
Yeah.
I've been to dog parks, but I don't like them.
I don't mind them. I enjoy going here and there, but you gotta watch. You really gotta watch out for because a lot of people go there and they have dogs that aren't well behaved and they don't pay attention, and it creates a lot of problems. You know.
Yeah, and that list of no-nos, gentle, that's the one that made Chad and Jay upset with Brandon.
Oh, the
Jay,
toys.
J, Jay, Jack, and Chad, they're all in the same little
Oh
group,
yeah,
and it
yeah. You're
was the
talking
list
about
of
the
no-nos, and they lost their mind over that video. But they're obviously don't understand his point. He's just saying with behavioral issues,
right,
refrain from doing those things with those dogs. And he said it
right.
clearly, but you know,
So I didn't even know J Jack knew who Brandon was. So he's so
he didn't know until I was promoting him in those groups, and then I got kicked out pretty quick. I get
damn.
kicked. I've been kicked out of so many uh, groups,
Yeah,
and
well, I've only been kicked out of one, but I've only joined two, so guess
uh,
50%.
all you have to do is start talking about Caesar or Brandon, and they'll show you the door real fast.
What kind of groups? Is it like uh groups for professionals who work with dogs, or is it more like
Both
okay,
professionals among professionals and professionals giving advice to clients,
okay,
and they want to be the influence in the industry, but don't get me wrong. I think these guys have a lot of talent, but for a different world.
right. Yeah, I don't really because that's like the new trend now is the play-based stuff seems to be kind of infiltrating the dog training community as a whole. That's like the new trend, but it's also like the pet world. It seems to be all this play-based stuff is now the hot new thing, and I don't
Even in
agree with it, you know.
shelters, Dylan promotes this in shelters, and I'm like, that's a bad idea. Because all you need to do is make the dog misinterpret something, and then now they have a bite on their record. Now you just sentence that dog to death.
Right.
And play will do that because it'll ramp up the excitement so high that the dog can't make a good choice, and all they
Well,
have to do is
that's
miss.
like they talk about how well we gotta put the dog in this high state of arousal and then learn to control it. And I'm thinking, why would I want to do that in the first place? Why would I not just? I want to create a very calm dog first. Why would I want to jack the dog's emotional state all the way up, the endorphins, the cortisol? Why would I want to do that? You know, if
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what's getting the dog in trouble to begin with.
that's how they got in trouble. Controlling them in drive, is what they call it.
Right.
Which there's a depends, but I would not recommend going in and getting a dog in the play yard and then getting them all ramped up. Let them play with other dogs. So at the old shelter, Houston Pets Alive, we didn't have play groups at first, and then Amy Sadler, she does dogs playing for life. They go around to shelters and teach
Yeah.
shelters how to set up play groups. Now that's a game changer. But dogs playing with dogs,
Right.
then I think the human has to be careful about blurring the line between I'm your friend or I'm your leader.
Exactly.
If we can be friends later, then fine. But I don't want you to have that perception of this relationship in the beginning like that, because that's how
It's
they got
like
in trouble in the
the
first place.
right. Right. It's like the parents out there who want to try to be friends with their kids and then they wonder why the kid doesn't respect them. It's like, well, you got off on the wrong foot to begin with, you know, and
Yeah, but
you
like
got
you
to
and Goose are friends, but you establish something first.
right, we didn't start there. Yeah, we didn't
Yeah.
start there. And it's well, it's funny, you know, and I'm just pointing it out. It's not necessarily a slight against Dylan because, you know, I've been bit many times in the past, but that dog, you ever see the clip where he kind of like smacked the dog in the face on the muzzle?
Yeah, G is all upset about it.
Yeah. So I guess because he was trying to play tug with that dog, the dog snapped. He kind of
Yeah,
hit the
popped him
dog
on
on
the
the muzzle.
nose.
But then I
Yeah.
guess on his Instagram, the dog had bit him later. Like
Oh,
like
I
it
didn't know that.
punctured his yeah, the dog punctured his finger. Um, so I guess I was trying to find it, but for some reason, because somebody showed it in a video, but when I went to his Instagram, I couldn't find it. I didn't look.
That's
I didn't spend a lot of time looking, I'm like, okay, so the dog ended up biting you. So it's like you said, we could be sending the wrong message, and if the arousal is what's leading to the dog being aggressive, then why do I want to start there? And you said the dog now has a bite on its record, and I'm trying to adopt this dog out.
so it's game over.
Right,
Because most people are not going to adopt a dog if they have a bite on their record.
right, right.
That's probably 80% of the cases.
Yeah, and I
But
can't
I
blame him.
mean, he's probably on his Patreon. I didn't know he got bit. And someone would say, "Oh, the dog bit you because you popped it on the nose." Well, do you not know dogs are a lot more brutal than that?
Right, right.
Like, I don't have a big problem with him muzzle popping, but there's a reason why Brandon doesn't do touch corrections. He doesn't. He doesn't want his hand to be associated with corrections.
Yeah, it's one
So I
thing I've
mean,
never. Brandon seems to always really utilize sound and body language, all of the things that and uh, for me, it's very hands off too. I will use touch here and there, but usually with dogs who won't bite. If I have a dog who's
yeah,
gonna bite, I usually am not gonna go. I'm not gonna touch them usually.
right. And it's not because of you; it's for the dog, so they don't get
Right,
themselves in trouble. But
right.
yeah, I mean, more than one way. There's no one way, but there are several wrong ways. And I'm not like the moral authority, but you know.
I hear you, man. I hear you. And um, when it comes to say what Dylan did, like hitting the dog on the muzzle. I mean, I saw that. I don't think he hit the dog really. Like they didn't like smack the dog or anything.
No, it wasn't much at
Um,
all to me.
no. So it's like on the like I can understand why people would disagree with it, but on the other hand, it's sort of like if I'm trying to communicate to this dog that's unacceptable, is that really the worst thing in the world? Hmm. I could go both ways on it, but I like I
Now,
said, I like to take a very hands off approach. So that's just my opinion.
yeah, but when those same people are saying 60 on the e-collar is nothing.
Right,
Like that's it. That's
right.
it? You only use level 60? Like I don't understand any situation that would be applicable at all. So that puts us people like me and you in a extreme small margin of the dog training industry. Most of the industry is either doing that stuff or treat dispensers. I'd
Right.
say 90% at least.
That
It,
seems to be, yeah, I see that because like in the force-free world or the R plus, the first thing I see whipped out is the treat bag, and in the balanced side of things, the first thing I see is the e-collar. And I'm like, why do we need to start there it's like every dog that you work with, that's your starting position, and I just don't understand it. You
no, I
know,
mean I've
um,
used e-collar in one case, but that was after the owner clearly could not do it without me being there.
right,
That's rare though. That's very
right.
rare.
So
That
it's a
was a
last resort.
yeah. Those were Dalmatian litter mates. So she could not walk them together.
Yeah,
So
it's like we
she needed the leverage of the e-collar.
yeah, yeah.
But
In
we
that
did
in
not
that
start
case,
there.
yeah, I wouldn't start there exactly because now it's like you said earlier. If you wanted the dog to understand it's coming from you, and I'm starting with a tool who, I mean, most of the people I see, they use the tool at a distance, how do you really know the dog understands that that's coming from you if you are however many feet away and you're not building any kind of association in the dog's mind between you and that sensation. You just want to say correct the dog to get it to stop doing what it's doing, but that dog has no there's no connection back to you, you know, and
Hmm.
that's what I think is missing in all of that is I need it needs to be about me and the dog, and rather than is that's the thing that I think reward and punishment, that system, if it leads you down that road of you're going to use these tools in a certain way where it's like you're kind of phased out of the equation rather than I should be front and center. I should be the first thing
Right.
um, in the equation, or the owner, the
No.
human, you know?
Yeah, and someone could say that about sound, I guess. Someone could make the same argument. It's not, but it's coming from the human.
Right. It's
I
coming
think
from me.
yeah, and that's what they understand. That's how they talk to each other. I don't know. Never go against Mother Nature. I mean,
Right.
we're
You're
not
never
gonna
going to win.
crawl on all fours and handle a dog like dogs handle each other, because
No, no,
we'll never match that,
no.
because dogs are unbelievably brutal. They'll they'll kill a senior just for being too slow,
That's
too
crazy.
weak, too weak.
Crazy. And yep.
And I mean, that's very different than humans nurture sickness and
Right.
seniors.
Right.
Dogs, they don't. They'll kill it.
And that's why, I made that video saying, like that study they did showing that, or their conclusion was the dog does not form bonds with the owner the same way the owner forms bonds with the dog. And that's why I don't truly think that dogs are capable of like loving, I just don't. And,
No,
and
I
that,
don't think it's love like but I love that you can provide this for me,
right.
whatever this word love is.
Yeah.
But it's the ability to pass on genetics. I mean, that's the end goal. If you can, well, that gets a little more. That gets into RK. I'm not gonna get into that.
Right.
But that's the least we owe them. If we put them in a captive situation, we have to learn their language.
Right. They expect us to think like them, and we expect them to just understand us, but that the lines of communication are fucked up because a lot of people don't take the time to understand how does the dog think. So, you know what I mean? But they expect us to know how they think or to think like them. And you can't blame them. I mean, that's just the level they operate at. They don't know any different, you know?
No, that's the hardest part. But to new trainers, it's not about dogs. You have to learn the people side of it, and that's the hardest part. Because when I got into it, I thought it was all, well, if I'm just good with dogs, then that's all there is to it. But this is the
Right.
complaint they have with Caesar. He's so good, but it doesn't apply to regular dog owners because it's too advanced. And I think there's some validity there
Yeah.
because he's almost speaking a whole another language. Well, he is speaking a different language than the clients because it's, I don't know.
I think he is. So it's I kind of I've boiled it down into like two categories with Caesar, where what he does physically, I don't think the average owner can do, like say the way he touches dogs or engages with them on a physical level. That's unique to Caesar. I don't think anybody can do it like Caesar. But the concepts and the ideas he's imparting, I think anybody can understand and do. It's just to what degree can you be effective with what he's telling you? As far as energy, being calm and assertive, to what degree can you be effectively calm and assertive? You know what I mean? That sort of thing. But I don't. I think Caesar does his best to keep it simple for people.
I think he does a great job. People say he doesn't communicate it well. Somebody tried to imply that. I won't say his name. I think he does a great job communicating to clients. He's so smooth with it.
Yeah, and he's got all
How
those catchphrases, no touch, no touch, no eye contact.
he knows when to be
Uh,
serious. He knows when to
yeah,
bring a little more light to it. He knows how to not make somebody wrong, but he shows
right.
them instead, do it like this. Instead, you're not wrong, but do it like this.
Yeah, I think his people skills are fantastic. I think Caesar does great with the people.
Brandon
Um,
too.
yeah, the language barrier may play a role, but I don't know. I can't think of any other individual that has come up with so many like slogans or little catchphrases like Caesar,
Oh, those
you know.
formulas. Oh,
Yeah, the
those
little
formulas. If people learned all the formulas, you can't go wrong.
right.
No,
No
no
touch, no
touch, no
talk,
talk,
no eye
no eye
contact.
contact. Rules, boundaries, limitations.
Right.
Nose,
Rules,
eyes,
boundaries,
ears.
limitations.
Exercise, discipline, affection.
Right.
Follow, play, explore. And then you can go on and on and on. But
And they just stick with you. Like you, there's easy to remember, you know. And I don't think anybody else has really brought that to the game. But yeah. What are you saying here, General? Miracle Cannon
incoming thread. What does that mean? That's I don't
boils down to
internet talk.
biological vending machines. What do you mean by that, General? Sort of like a biological vending machine in terms of like just giving a automated response, or like I do X, dog gives me X in response, or what do you mean by that?
Well, that's
But
what
yeah,
they say about
incoming thread. Yeah,
yeah.
go
What does
go
that
ahead,
mean?
Travis.
What does that mean? Incoming thread for later? Yeah, I don't know what that means.
I mean,
Incoming
I'm
thread.
interested. I'm interested. I just want to know what you mean.
And who uses spatial pressure as legs and shouts,
Oh, he was talking about
growls?
Brandon, I think. Yeah, he was talking about Brandon.
I've never heard him growl, but I do.
Oh
I'll
yeah,
growl at
dude.
a dog quick. Yo,
I wouldn't say I growl. I'm more so I just use very sharp, like say if dog's doing something I don't want it to do, I'll just be like, hey, or some shit like that. That's kind of my go-to, or claps.
yeah,
I love hand claps. Oh, claps is one of my go-to.
yeah. And to reiterate, somebody said Brandon whacks dogs with newspapers. No, he doesn't. He'll
I've
whack
never,
the newspaper on his leg to produce a
right,
sound to
right. I've
create
never seen
submission.
Brandon.
He's
Yeah, I've
not
never seen
whacking
Brandon.
dogs.
No,
No,
I've never seen
because
Brandon
that's
hit a dog with a newspaper.
no, 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 no. Pez dispenser, yeah. The theory is that our behaviors.
Okay, I thought maybe that's what you were saying, General.
Yeah, a living, breathing Pez dispenser.
Right, right.
Yeah.
That's not a situation. It's not a position I want to put myself in. I don't want my dog to see me like a living pest dispenser.
But it's very interesting because Robert talks about this, how it's all IGP. It's all the
Right,
same. Whether you're on the left or the right, whether you're force free or balanced, you're doing that same IGP crap. So I've heard a lot of balance trainers say you must reward for every little thing, like we already talked about it. But it's
right.
just what world is that normal? That's bad advice for kids. That's bad advice
Sure.
for humans. That's bad advice for dogs. It's bad
Right.
advice. It's not even that it will it work or not. It's just bad advice.
Shit, I had a client who they were dropping their dog off at daycare, and the people at the day no, it was a training class. I'm sorry. It was like a day-long training class where they dropped the dog off in the morning, the dog would stay there, and then they'd pick the dog up in the evening. And they said the dog would come home and literally throw up just a pile of food because they gave that dog so many fucking treats.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how is this not a form of abuse? Like you literally gave that dog so much food that it's throwing it up. You know, you know what I
Yeah, I
mean?
have a client. I have a client with two, and she wants me to give them a treat after because I walk them for her to help her out
Hmm.
lunchtime walks. She wants me to give a treat after every walk, and well, they're already obese,
Oh
and I
man.
won't and I won't do it.
Yeah.
And it's a cultural thing. There's dog training culture. They're made to believe you must give up
Right.
a reward or else
Right.
something. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, my mom's that same way where she's not really bad about it, But every time she lets her dogs out and they come in from the backyard, she gives them a treat. And I said, "Mom, why do you still give them a treat?" She's like, "Well, so they know they did something good." And I'm like, "Yeah, but Mom, it's been how many years? Like they should know by now that that they did.
Right, and
You shouldn't, you know, they shouldn't have to rely on that for forever, you know?"
right, and let's get real, because I had a client once. I disciplined the dog, and the dog looked a little sad, and she said, "Well, when can I give him a pet?"
Right, right.
And I said, "Okay, well, let's examine that for a second. Is the pet for her, the dog, or for you?"
For you, exactly. When I ask clients that question, I think that question actually gets people to think, is it really for you or
Yeah.
for the dog? And I think, yeah. What did she say? Did she stop and think a minute or was
She
she
stopped and smiled. She knew. She knew. But
okay?
it's just like dogs are trembling from a thunderstorm and you're petting them. How much is that
Yeah,
for you versus
right,
actually beneficial for the dog?
right.
It's mostly the human.
Yeah, to make you feel better about the dog being scared.
Right.
Doesn't help the dog at all.
No, that's why accidentally positively reinforcing the wrong state of mind with all these treats. It's easy
Hmm.
to confuse a dog because you gave
Right.
them like leash reactivity. Sit, okay, you sat, here's a treat. But the brain was still psychologically connected to the reactivity to the other
Exactly.
dog when you gave them the treat. So what brain did you reinforce?
Right.
Where if you'd have just been neutral, it's good by default, but you didn't risk marking the wrong state of mind.
Right. And I've never gone out with a dog on a leash and like I've just never used food for walking.
No.
I don't understand it because it you can seriously overcomplicate things very quickly on the leash. People have a hard enough time trying to understand how to use the leash in an effective way, and then you want to add food on top of it, and then giving them,
Too
rewarding certain
complicated.
things
Yeah.
is way too complicated. What are you saying here, Joe? Oh yeah, it's all about the state of mind, Joe. But it's also about the state of mind in relation to you as well, because those two things are connected. The dog's state of mind in certain situations will be a direct extension of whether or not you've established a particular dynamic with that dog. Like my dog will be calm and relaxed if it understands I'm in control rather than that dog now trying to take more of an assertive role. The state of mind is now different. So as long as that dog understands, he's got it. I can take a fowler position. I don't have to worry about nothing. The state of mind of that dog is gonna be far different than the dog who has leash reactivity. You know?
And that's the only reason why Prince let all that go, because he believed, I got it all under control. He got it. I don't need to go there.
Right.
But if he was not convinced of that, then it will not happen.
Right. Exactly. What else did you say here, General? Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. Cliff note. I still want to know what the cliff notes are. Are we gonna be? Is this gonna be a blog post somewhere? That's all right. Well, Travis, I'm gonna get going to my parents here in a minute, so I'm gonna let you go. But man,
Yeah.
this was a lot of fun chatting with you. Um, if you want to tell everybody where to find you and let everybody know if anybody's in the Houston area and you need help with any dog behavioral issue, look up Travis. Um, but go ahead and let everybody know where you're at, Travis.
Well, I appreciate it. Houston, Dog Walk Rehab, YouTube, Instagram, dogwalkrehab.com. And yeah, I appreciate you having me on.
Hell
Have
yeah,
fun in
Travis.
Australia. What's the issue in Australia?
It's two kelpies. Um,
Oh,
no aggression or anything like the dachshund, but the male dog is just when she walks that dog out, just can't quite get the dog to be relaxed and comfortable. It's just always stressed out. It's not,
oh,
when when she gets near busy roads, the dog has a really hard time with that. And sometimes, like if he sees a car, he'll want to chase the car, and it sends him into like a really frantic state of mind. There's just some issues at home where if the dogs start barking and stuff, they can't get the dogs to calm down and listen. Um, the female dog, it's kind of the same issue with the cars, but towards other dogs or say like people on bikes. Um, so a different set of problems than the dachshund, but doesn't mean they're less difficult. Sometimes those issues can be harder than the aggression. You know,
Yeah, and they seem like little issues, but to the owner, it's
it's
a
a
big
big deal.
issue.
Yeah, it's a
Big
big
enough to
deal.
get you all the way to Australia.
Right, right. And I very much
Well,
appreciate that. So, but yeah, I'll be
yeah.
leaving Friday, so I'll be gone for maybe 12 days, I think, if you count the
Oh
flight.
dang. Oh, I could not do 12 days away from home. Like who watches Goose?
Oh, I should be going to my parents. Yeah,
Oh, okay, okay.
yeah. She loves going to my parents. So they watched her when I went to Scotland, and they'll watch her
Oh,
again when I
nice.
go to Australia. Yeah.
And she minds,
Oh, she's great over there. Yeah, she's fine.
of course. But why? Because you've hormonally manipulated her.
That's right.
So it's like
That's right.
so the next person can take her and Goose knows what to do.
Exactly. We don't have any. Doesn't matter where
So
she's at. We don't have any problems.
yeah. Well, anytime, happy to do more in the future. Just let me know.
Hell yeah, we'll do this again for sure, Travis. Really appreciate you coming on, man. And
No
drive
problem.
safe. It's good to see Prince and Millie. But
Yeah.
hell yeah, man. I got to figure out how to. Once I make this live, I'll send you an or I'll make it a collaboration. So your channel will be
Oh,
um,
okay, nice.
yeah, it'll show up here under the video as well.
Cool, cool.
All right, man.
Well,
Appreciate.
I appreciate it. Till next time. Have a good one.
Hell yeah, Travis. You have a good one too, man. Drive safe. Appreciate everybody showing
All right.
up. I hope everybody has a wonderful
Yep.
night. Thank you, General, Princess, James, Shelly, if you're still in the room. All right, everybody have a great night. Thank you. All right, see you later, Travis.